የተወደደ ቀን የተወደደ ዓመት።
My name is Wandwosan Tito. I'd like to say welcome to all of you today. Our church guest speakers and parents, welcome to our first Saint Arsema Coding Club graduation. I will introduce our agenda for today. We start our program by prayer. Then we have another 5 minutes welcome and introduction. After that, we have a short video for 15 minutes. And then we go to our first guest speaker, MARAKI KETEMA. And then we have students presentation for 40 minutes. Then after that, we go to our second guest speaker, DEREJE. Then we have 5 minutes presentation about what's next in our coding program. Then there will be a 5 minutes demo competition. Then we ask parents some feedbacks, and after that we're gonna announce winners, and after we finish that we close by prayer. So this is our program. ከዚህ ቀጥሎ ያለውን ደግሞ በአማርኛ አስተዋውቃለሁ። ከዚህ በኋላ ሁሉንም በአማርኛ እያወራን ነው የምንሄደው። ወንደሰን ቲቶ እባላለሁ። እንኳን በሰላም ወደ ዛሬው የምርቃት በዓል መጣችሁ እላለሁ ሁላችሁንም። የቤተክርስቲያን አባቶቻችን፣ ተጋባዥ እንግዶች እንዲሁም የተማሪዎች ቤተሰቦች ሁላችሁም እንኳን መጣችሁ። በተለይም ደግሞ ተማሪዎች እንኳን ደስ አላችሁ እላለሁ። የዛሬው የምርቃት መርሃ ግብራችን ከዚህ እንደሚከተለው ይሆናል። በጸሎት እንጀምራለን። ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ የ5 ደቂቃ የእንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ ፕሮግራም ይኖረናል። ከዛ በኋላ አጭር ቪዲዮ የተዘጋጀ አለ፣ እሱን እናያለን። ከዛ ወደ መጀመሪያው ተጋባዥ እንግዳችን እንሄዳለን። የመጀመሪያው ተጋባዥ እንግዳችን ማራኪ ከተማ። ከዛ እሱን ከጨረስን በኋላ ወደ ተማሪዎች ፕሬዘንቴሽን ነው የምንሄደው። ከዛ ወደሚቀጥለው ሁለተኛ ገስት ስፒከር አለን ደረጀ። እሱን ከጨረስን በኋላ የሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም ምንድነው በዚህ በሴንት አርሴማ ኮዲንግ ክለብ ወደፊት የታሰበው ምንድነው የሚለውን የምንነጋገርበት ወይም ደግሞ የሱ ፕሮግራም አለን 5 ደቂቃ። ከዛ በኋላ ኮምፒቲሽን ለ5 ደቂቃ ይኖራል። ከዛ በኋላ ቤተሰብ የተማሪዎች ቤተሰቦች ምን እንደተሰማቸው የሚገልጹበት የ10 ደቂቃ ፍቃደኛ የሆኑ ቤተሰቦች ሐሳባቸውን የሚገልጹበት ፕሮግራም ይኖረናል። ከዛ በኋላ አሸናፊዎችን እናስተዋውቃለን። የመጨረሻው ፕሮግራማችን በጸሎት እንዘጋለን ማለት ነው። አሁን እንግዲህ ወደ መጀመሪያው ፕሮግራም እንሄዳለን። የመጀመሪያው ፕሮግራማችን በጸሎት መጀመር ነው። የዋሽንግተን ስቴት ሀገረ ስብከት ሊቀ ጳጳስ አቡነ ማርቆስ በጸሎት ፕሮግራማችን በቡራኬ እንዲከፍቱልን መድረኩን ለሳቸው ለቃለሁ።
በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ በቅድስት ሥላሴ እንዛምን ወጥማሐፀን ክህደት ከሰይጣን በቅድመ ዛቲ የቅድስት ቤተክርስቲያን እንተይቲ ስም የማርያም የወላለም ዓለም አሜን። መሐሪና ይቅር ባይ አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር ሆይ እዚህ ለተሳ ስላደረስከን በተለይም ይችን የዛሬዋን ዕለት ያውኗንም ሰዓት በእድሜያችን ላይ ተጨማሪ አድርገህ አዲስ ቀን ተጨማሪ እድሜ ባርከህ ቀድሰህ ስለሰጠህን ክብር ምስጋና ውዳሴ ላንተ ይሁንልን። እዚህ ለተዚህ ሰዓት እንዳደረስከን ቀሪ ህይወታችን ደግሞ ባንተ የተጠበቀ ባንተም የተባረከ ይሁንልን። አምላካችን ሆይ ጉባኤያችንን ባርክልን። ሕፃናት ልጆችንም በሀብት በሃይማኖት በጸጋ በሞገስ በጥበብና በማስተዋል አሳድገህ ለቁም ነገር አብቃልን። አሜን። አቡነ ዘበሰማያት እንልሃለን። ይትቀደስ ስምከ ትምጻእ መንግሥትከ ወይኩን ፈቃድከ በከመ በሰማይ ከማሁ በምድር ሲሳየነ ዘለለ ዕለትነ ሀበነ ዮም ህድግ ለነ አበሳነ ወጌጋየነ ከመ ንሕነኒ ንህድግ ለዘአበሰ ለነ ኢታብአነ እግዚኦ ውስተ መንሱት አላ አድኅነነ ወአልሃነ ኩሉ እኩይ እስመ ዚአከ ይእቲ መንግሥት ኃይል ወስብሐት ለዓለመ ዓለም አሜን። በሰላመ ቅዱስ ገብርኤል መልአክ ኦ እግዝእትየ ማርያም ሰላም ለኪ ድንግል በህሊናኪ ወድንግል በስጋኪ እግዚአብሔር ሰባኦት ሰላም ለኪ ቡርክት አንቲ እምአንስት ወቡሩክ ፍሬ ከርሥኪ ተፈሥሒ ፍሥሕት ኦ ምልዕተ ጸጋ እግዚአብሔር ምስሌኪ ሳሊ ወጸልይ ምህረተ ፍቁር ወልድኪ ኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ከመ ይስረይ ለነ ኃጣውኢነ ተማኅፀነ ብኪ። አቤቱ በደልን የምትደመስስ ንስሐን የምትቀበል ኃጢአትን ይቅር የምትል ጌታዬ ኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ሆይ የኔንም ኃጢአት የልጆችንም ኃጢአት ይቅር በል። የማይሰራ ኃጢአት እግዚአብሔር ይፍታ። አምላካችን ጉባኤያችን ይባርክልን። ፕሮግራም መሪ ይሰማል?
አዎ ይሰማል አባታችን። እሺ
በጣም ጥሩ። የተወደዳችሁ መምህራን፣ የዚህ ጉባኤ አስተባባሪዎችና መሪዎች፣ የተወደዳችሁና የተከበራችሁ ወላጆች እንዲሁም እንግዶች፣ የተወደዳችሁ ሕፃናት ልጆቻችን፣ ወጣት ልጆቻችን መሐሪና ይቅር ባይ አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር በቸርነቱ ጠብቆ ከዚህ ለተዚህ ሰዓት ስላደረሰን ክብር ምስጋና ለእርሱ ይሁንልን። ትንሽ መልእክት ለማስተላለፍ ብዬ ነው። ከሁሉ አስቀድሞ እኔም ሰሞኑን ነው የመጣሁኝ። በአካልም እንኳን ለመገናኘት ባንችል በዚህ በረቀቀ መስመር ለመገናኘት ያበቃንን ከክፉ ሁሉ የጠበቀንን በያለንበት ከክፉ ሁሉ ጠብቆ በሰላም ያገናኘንን አምላክ እግዚአብሔርን አመሰግናለሁ። በመቀጠል ደግሞ ለመምህራኑና ለዚህ ጉባኤ መሪዎች እግዚአብሔር ጥበቡን፣ ማስተዋሉን፣ ትዕግስቱን፣ ጽናቱን ሰጥቷችሁ ልጆችን ለመተካት በጉልበታችሁ፣ በጊዜያችሁ፣ በገንዘባችሁ፣ በእውቀታችሁ፣ በህይወታችሁ ሁሉ ስለምታደርጉት መልካም ነገር እግዚአብሔር ያክብራችሁ፣ የእጆቻችሁን ስራ ሁሉ ይባርክላለሁ። ይሄ ታላቅ መታደል ነው፣ ታላቅም መመረጥ ነው። በራሳችሁ ፈቃድ በራሳችሁ ተነሳሽነት ልጆቻችንን በእግራችን ተተክተው እግዚአብሔርን እንዲያመልኩ ቤተክርስቲያንን እንዲያገለግሉ ህይወታቸውም ደግሞ የተስተካከለ እንዲሆን እኛ የተማርነውን ያወቅነውን እናሳውቅላችሁ ጀምራችኋል። ጅማሬያችሁን ደግሞ እግዚአብሔር ለፍጻሜ እንዲያበቃላችሁ የቤተክርስቲያን የዘወትር ጸሎቷ ነው። እጅግ በጣም እናመሰግናችኋለን። ዋጋ ከፋዩ አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር ዋጋችሁን እንዲከፍላችሁ ደግሞ ምኞታችን ብቻ ሳይሆን ጸሎታችንም ነው። ወላጆችንም ደግሞ ለዚህ ጉዳይ ለዚህ ትምህርት ለልጆቻችሁ ጥበቃ ያደረጋችሁ ጥረት ቀላል አይደለምና የእናንተ ገዛ የእናንተ በጎ ፈቃድ ባይጨመርበት ኖሮ ልጆች ከዚህ ደረጃ አይደርሱም ነበርና የእናንተንም ድካም እግዚአብሔር እንኳን እዚህ ያደረሳችሁ የበለጠ ደግሞ ደስ የሚያሰኘውን እንዲያደርግላችሁ መልካም ምኞታችንና ጸሎታችንም ነው። ታላላቅ የሃይማኖት አባቶች ሃይማኖትን የተማርነው ሃይማኖትን ያስተማሩን ወላጅ እናቶቻችን ናቸው ይላሉ። ትምህርት ለልጆች የመጀመሪያው ትምህርት ስጋዊም ይሁን መንፈሳዊም ይሁን ትምህርት የሚጀምረው ለልጆች ከወላጆች ከቤተሰብ ስለሆነ እናንተ ከቤተሰብ ያገኛችሁትን በእውቀቱ መስክ ደግሞ ያገኛችሁትን ያለ የሌለ ዕውቀታችሁን አስችሁ ለልጆቻችሁ ከዚህ በበለጠ እንድታደርጉ አደራ አላችኋለሁ። የወላጆች ትብብር የወላጆች ህብረት ካለ ልጆችን በስርዓት ቀርጾ ማሳደግ ይቻላል እና ለልጆቻችሁ የምታደርጉት ለራሳችሁ ለሀገራችሁ ለቤተክርስቲያናችሁ ያደረጋችሁት ነውና ወደፊትም ከዚህ በበለጠ እንድትቀጥሉ አደራላችኋለሁ በተለይ መምህራኑ የሚሰጡትን መመሪያ እንድታከብሩ እንድትሰሙ እንድታዳምጡ በየጊዜው የሚያወጡትን መርሃ ግብርም እንድትከታተሉ በዚህ አጋጣሚ አደራላችኋለሁ ለአንድ ወር ከ15 ቀን በመካከላችሁ አልነበርኩም እንኳን ደህና ቆያችሁኝ እላለሁ በዚህ መስመር ላይ ያላችሁትንም ሁላችሁንም ሰላም እላለሁኝ እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ አይነ ልቡናችሁን ያብራላችሁ የልጆቻችንም ደግሞ አእምሮአቸውን አስፍቶ አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር በሀብት በሃይማኖት በጸጋ በጥበብ በሞገስ በማስተዋል አሳድጎ ለቁም ነገር አብቅቶ ፍጻሜያቸውን እንዲያሳምርልን የዘወትር ጸሎታችንና መልካም ምኞታችን ነው አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር ጉባኤያችንን ይባርክልን መጨረሻ ደግሞ ይባርክልን ወደ ፕሮግራሙ አለው
እሺ
አይ ሆፕ ሰምታችሁኛል አይደል
አዎ ሰምተናል አባታችን ሁሉንም ሰምተናል አሜን እሺ እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን አባታችን ወደሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም እንሄዳለን የሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም ዌልካም ኤንድ ኢንትሮዳክሽን ነው ይሄንንም የሚያቀርቡልን በእምነትና መላኩ ናቸው መድረኩን ለነሱ
ጤና ይስጥልኝ መላኩ ባላለሁኝ እንግዲህ ዛሬ እንደ ወላጅም እንደ አስተማሪም ሆኜ ሁለት ኮፍያ አድርጌ ነው ማውራችሁ መጀመሪያ ግን እንደ አስተማሪ ሆኜ ነው ማውራችሁ እዚህ እንግዲህ የምታያቸው ስማቸው የተጻፈው እንዲሁም ገስት ቲቸርስ የሚሉት በዚህ 11 ወር ባስተማርንበት ጊዜ ፓርቲሲፔት ያደረጉ ናቸው ሬጉላር ቲቸርስ አብይ ከሊድ ዴታ አርኪቴክት በእምነት ሶፍትዌር አርኪቴክት ሀብታሙ ሲስተም ኢንጂነር እኔው ራሴ የሳይበር ሴኩሪቲ ካሪየር ያለኝ ነኝ ታቦር ኢንጂነር ነው ወንደሰን ደግሞ ከዋሽንግተን ስቴት ዲፓርትመንት ኦፍ ኢኮሎጂ ኢንቫይሮንመንታል ስፔሻሊስት ነው ከጎን ደግሞ ገስት ቲቸርስ በተለያየ አጋጣሚ መጥተው የተለያየ ምክርና የራሳቸውን ተሞክሮ ያካፈሉ ሰዎች ናቸው አበበ የአርሴማ ባል ፍላይት ኢንጂነር ነው አዲስ ሶፍትዌር ኢንጂነር ማይክሮሶፍት ነው የሚሰራው ከዛ ደግሞ ታደሳለ ፕሪንሲፓል ሶፍትዌር ኢንጂነር ኦራክል ውስጥ ነው ጥሩ ምክር ሰጥተውናል ለኛም ለልጆቹ በተጨማሪ እና እንደ ወላጅ ከማውራቴ በፊት እንቅድም እንዳልኩት ይሄ ፕሮግራሙን እንድንጀምር ያደረገን ተሾማ አክሊሉ ነው ተሾማ አክሊሉ ይሄንን ኮምፒውተሮችን ዶኔት ባያደርግልን ኖሮ ዛሬ ደረስንበት ደረጃ እንደርስም ነበረ በጣም ትልቅ አስተዋጽኦ ነው ያደረገልን በምን አይነት መልኩ ቸርቹን መደጎም እንችላለን የሚል ምክር በእምነት ጋር በመከፋፈላት ከመነጋገራችን እየተነጋገርን እያለ በእምነት ቸርቹን በምዕመናኖቹን ምዕመናኖቹን ልጆች በምን መልኩ ማስተማር እንችላለን በምን በኩል ልረዳቸው እንችላለን የሚል አስተያየት ሰጠን ስለዚህ ይሄን በተሾመ የሰጠንን ኮምፒውተሮች አንዱም ቻለን ሁለተኛ ደግሞ ክላስሩሙን ደግሞ እዛ በቤተክርስቲያን ውስጥ ሴትአፕ ተደርጎ እንዲሰራና ለልጆቹ በትምህርት በሚመች በኩል እንዲደራጅ በማድረግ ብዙ የምዕመናኖች ተሳትፎ ብዙ አስተዋጽኦ ያደረጉ ናቸው እና ጃንዋሪ ትምህርቱን ስንጀምር which is a coding class 25 ተማሪዎች ነበሩ ኤንሮል ያደረጉ ከ25 ውስጥ 22ቱ አቴንድ ማድረግ ጀመሩ እንግዲህ ቅድም እንዳልኩት ምናልባት አልጠቀስኩትም ሊሆን ይችላል። የዚህ ሁሉ ዓላማ ፐርፐዙ ምንድነው? እነዚህ ልጆች በምን አይነት መልኩ ልንረዳቸው እንችላለን በሚል ነው። እና ልንረዳቸው የምንችለው ብለን ካሰብናቸው ነገሮች አንዱ ምንድነው? ክሪቲካል ቲንኪንግ በሚል ኤሪያ፣ ሁለተኛ ደግሞ ፕሮጀክት ማኔጅመንት፣ ሶስተኛ ሊደርሺፕ፣ አራተኛ ደግሞ ቲም ወርክ በሚለው ኤሪያ ነው። እና ላስት 11 months ባስተማርናቸው ጊዜ ውስጥ ይህን ሁሉ ኢንፎርሜሽን አስተላልፈንላቸው የተሻለ እውቀትና ግንዛቤ አግኝተዋል ብለን እናስባለን። እሱንም ዴሞንስትሬት በተለያየ አጋጣሚ አድርገውልናል። ከዛ ፕሮጀክቱ ከተጀመረ በኋላ ማርች ላይ ስንገባ which is I would say phase 2 ምክንያቱም phase 1 ቅድም እንደተናገርኩት ልጆች ሰዎች ፓርቲሲፔት አድርገው ነበረ የዚህ ፕሮግራም እንዲጀምር። ሁለተኛው phase 2 ደግሞ ምንድነው? ክላሱ ከተጀመረ በኋላ ማለት ነው። እና ክላሱ ከተጀመረ በኋላ በቅድም የጠቀስኳቸው 6 አስተማሪዎች ሲማራ ነበረ። እና እያንዳንዳችንም በተለያየ አጋጣሚ ስለ ዴታ ሳይንስ፣ ስለ ሳይበር ሴኩሪቲ ቅድም እንደጠቀስኩት 3 ሰዎች በተለያየ አጋጣሚ መጥተው ፕሬዘንት ያደረጉት ሞቲቬሽናል ስፒከርስ ነበሩ። የተማሪም ወላጅ መጥቶም ፕሬዘንት ያደረገበት አጋጣሚ ነበር። እና በዚህ መሃል እያለ የኮቪድ መጣና ነገሩን ሁሉ ድብልቅልቁ አወጣብን፣ ረበሸን፣ አስቸገረን። ግን እኛም ዲተርሚንድ ሆነን ይሄን ነገር ለማቋረጥ አልፈለግንም። ስለዚህ በተቻለ መጠን ተነጋግረን የዙም ክላስ እንዲጀምር አደረግን። ዙም ክላሱን የጀመረው ማርች ነበረ። ስለዚህ 22 ተማሪ የነበሩት ወደ 14 ወርደዋል ዙም ክላሱ ላይ። ስለዚህ 14ቱን ተማሪ ይዘን ቀጠልን። ጁን ሲመጣ ደግሞ ከዛ በኋላ ፕሮጀክቱ ኪክ ስታርት አደረገ። ፕሮጀክቱ ጀመረ which is preliminary የተማሩትን ክላስሩም ውስጥ ቁጭ ብለው ስለ ጃቫስክሪፕት ኮዲንግ ምንድነው የሚለውን ነገር በደንብ እውቀቱን ካገኙ በኋላ ፕሮጀክቱ ተጀመረ which is Amharic voice translator project የሚል ነው። እሱንም በተለያየ አጋጣሚ ዴሞንስትሬት አድርገው ፕሮጀክቱን ቴስት አድርገው ብለው ባለፉት 2-3 ሳምንት ውስጥ ጨርሰዋል። እና የመጨረሻው ደግሞ ፕሮጀክቱ ከዚህ በኋላ ወይም ደግሞ እነዚህ ተማሪዎች ከዚህ በኋላ በምን መልኩ ይቀጥላሉ የሚለውን ነገር I think 2 ፌዝ ነው በተነጋገርነው መሰረት 2 ፌዝ ነው ያሰብነው። አንደኛው ፌዝ ምንድነው? አድቫንስድ የሆነ ኮዲንግ ክላስ ይቀጥሉ ይችላሉ የሚል ንግግር አለን፣ የሱ ፕላን አለ። ሁለተኛ ደግሞ አዲስ ተማሪዎችን አምጥተን የምንቀጥልበት አጋጣሚ ይመጣል። one interesting fact ቅድም ቁጭ ብዬ ሳስብ የነበረው የመጣልኝ ነገር ምንድነው? ከጃንዋሪ ጀምሮ እስከ ዛሬው ድረስ 88 ሰዓት ልጆቹ ክላስ ውስጥ ፓርቲሲፔት አድርገዋል ወይም ደግሞ አስተምረናል እኛ። እና ከ88 ሰዓት ውስጥ which is እሑድ 2 ሰዓት ነው። ግሩፕ ፕሮጀክቱ ከተጀመረ በኋላ ጁላይ እና ኦገስት ላይ በሳምንት ሚድዊክ ላይ ደግሞ ሌላ 32 ሰዓት አቃጥለናል። ስለዚህ ይሄ ሁለቱ ሲደመር አንድ ላይ 120 ሰዓት ይመጣል። ለ6 አስተማሪ ይሄ ሲባዛ ወደ 720 ሰዓቶች በልጆቹ ላይ ተቃጥሏል ማለት ነው። 720 ሰዓቶች ማለት 90 days ማለት ነው። 90 days ውስጥ በአንድ ኮሌጅ ሲኬድ የአንድ ኳርተር ትምህርት የሚካሄድበት ወቅት ነው። ከተጀምሮ ያልቅሱም ምናልባት በሳምንት 2-3 ሰዓት እየተማሩ ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ እንደ ወላጅ ኮፍያ አድርጌ ደግሞ ስናገር ረዴት እንዳልኩ ከመጀመሪያው እስከ መጨረሻው እዚህ የኮዲንግ ክላስ ፓርቲሲፔት ያደረገች ነች። ምናልባት ክላሱ ሲጀምር ጃቫስክሪፕት የሰው ስም መስሏት ሊሆን ይችላል፣ አላውቅም። ምንም አይዲያው አልነበራትም። አሁን ግን በአሁኑ ሰዓት የጃቫስክሪፕት አድቫንስድ የሆነ ለኔም ቻሌንጅ ሁሉ የምታረግበት ወቅት ነው ያለችውና በፈጠርነው የትምህርት ፕሮግረስ በጣም እንደ ወላጅ ሳወራ በጣም ሳቲስፋይድ ነኝ፣ ደስተኛ ነኝ። አይ ሆፕ ሌሎችም ወላጆችም ደስተኛ ትሆናላችሁ ብዬ አስባለሁ። በእምነት ጨርሻለሁ።
All right, yeah, I think መላኩ በደንብ ተናግሮታል። ያው so I just want to say for those of you who are speaking English, I just want to add few more things. When this coding class started, we never knew where we'll get. We not only learned how to code, like Malaku was saying, we learned a lot of interesting things from our guest speakers. We had 3 guest speakers throughout the class, and we had amazing kids that stuck out with us. They just wouldn't give up. They would not give up for any kind of challenge. And so I just want to say thank you for all the students who have attended the class. Not only they were able to attend the coding class, but before the coding class, we have 1 hour Bible study class where they sit there throughout my Bible study classes. And in total, they sit there with me for 3 hours every Sunday, some of you. And I just want to say thank you. I will miss this class. And I'm so excited to have opportunity to serve with all of the volunteers in this class. So thank you for the teachers and thank you for the students. And so with that, we'll just conclude our introduction part and give it back to Wonderful.
እሺ መላኩ እና በእምነት እናመሰግናለን። አሁን የምንሄደው ወደ ሀብታሙ ነው። ሀብታሙ ሾርት ቪዲዮ ያቀርብልናል። ይታያል።
ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ አሜን።
Screen sharing.
All right, try now.
How could you, Bemni?
So I don't have a mic or speakers that work. So for me, it was a bit different than it had to be. So let me go to the main index.
Okay. My name is Ebenezer Masai. I am in 8th grade and my school is St. Pius X. My expectations for this class were to learn something, which I definitely did, and I had no clue it had come this far. My general goals were to be able to create an app and a game. So in the main index, to save me the trouble of recording, where's the... I don't know why I'm having this problem. I can't scroll down. There. So to save me the trouble of recording and having the audio, recording, I commented these two out. So when they're uncommented.
What did you do to my code?
Let's see what we did.
Hi, my name is Raday Tassu. I'm an 8th grader at Briar Terrace. My expectations were to just have a basic understanding of code and maybe the most basic concepts, but I got way further than that, and I'm very grateful for Before we started this meeting, I was able to download 2 audio files. It'd make a clicking sound as it tried to play 2. But you guys did something to my code, and now it says await is only valid in async function.
Get closer and then record one more time.
Errors.
Depois.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it worked and then it didn't work because, is it because we said accept current changes or something? Or
Yeah.
is that right? Hi, my name is Nahum Yonatan. I'm in 9th grade. I'm from Kenyak High School. And my goals coming into this class was to learn how to code. And like my general goals, like what I wanted to do was like I wanted to create a website, and that's what we did. And I've learned how to use JavaScript, HTML, and how to navigate through Visual Studio Code. And I could use this in the future if I want to do another project or teach other people. Is it because we said accept current changes or something? Or
Yeah.
is that right? Okay, sure. Yeah, so
Okay.
it doesn't work anymore.
So why don't you just minimize it and then make it bigger?
I guess both, like, cause we did fix like some issues. Well, we broke them and then we fixed them. We didn't fix them.
Okay.
We didn't finish fixing them because we broke it. But yeah, so.
Aro, you should be able to see it.
No, I don't have anyone. Oh, there it is. That works, but it says Dibboch there.
Can you scroll
Yes.
down?
On Friday, I had there's this code that I believe I've showed you before. It makes the lights turn light blink for 5 seconds and then it stops. And so I was supposed to understand what GPIO is and understand this code. That was my task until Sunday, and I took notes. And yeah, GPIO stands for General Purpose Input Output. Basically, it's the main purpose of the code.
Okay.
Okay, I am Ifrata Tola. I am 11 years old. I go to Olympic View Middle School, and my expectations was to know how to do coding. Okay.
My name is Natan Masai. I am in 5th grade, and I come from St. Pius
But you hate your
School.
glasses fogging up all the time?
What
It does.
my expectations
I
were
know.
for this class was not that as high as I thought we would go. I thought my goals were to make an app, or maybe my own video game, but I got way farther than that, so I am very thankful, and what I learned was, first of all, I learned a lot better way to present things. I learned how to use JavaScript, and I also learned how to go to like just not really much, but I learned how to like describe things because I have some assignments, and I also learned I have assignments that are based off of describing things, and I also learned how to do research and that's basically okay. This is my part.
Thank you, Nathan. That's awesome.
Error handling process. This is my part, as you can see, and on error handling, we are trying to debug our mistakes, tell error messages, check our errors, and finally finalize. And it's pretty hard. For sending error messages, that's we were sending error messages. That's when you find the right error for the right time. This is helpful because if other people have errors with the translator, they will know what errors to put. We also needed to deal with our own error messages. For example, one time we got an error that looped so you couldn't even see it.
You're not
Okay.
ready?
No, I'm ready. Don't worry. My name is Ifeson Tola. I'm 11 years old and I go to Olympic View Middle School. At first, I wasn't really much of a good coder, and my goal was just to learn the basics, cause coding is not really my type. But I just wanted to learn it because I don't want to like have any regrets in the future, and I want to do good in the future. Like maybe coding will be useful in my future life. So I just decided to give it a try. And actually I know like I made some good progress being in this class, so I would recommend it for
But then when I
little
look
kids to
like
but then when you guys put so much effort in it, and then I was like, wow, they are really that determined. And it makes me like look up to you guys, because I never seen someone like that determined in something that like such as coding or something else, and that raised up my confidence a little bit more. So
Hi, I'm Sienna and I'm so good. I'm 14 years old. I'm in 9th grade and I go to King's High School. My expectations for this class wasn't to learn this much. I thought it was just going to be a quick 1 to 2 month class and we learn the basics of coding and maybe even make a simple game. I have learned so much from working together as a team to most importantly learning how to code. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity because I know a lot of people don't get experiences like this, maybe even until they get into college. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Harun Subsidy. I'm 11 years old, in 6th grade at Terrace Park Elementary, and I learned a lot in this class. I only expected to learn most of the basics, like build a simple website or publish an app, but I went much more far. And I'm really grateful that I'm lucky to have this experience because it's really rare and you wouldn't have this until later on.
We're still deciding on that, but it might be, we found some code for recording on Node.js with the a record command. So we were kind of experimenting and editing and researching about it. And on like any research updates, not much, but I did update the Raspberry Pi page in the Raspberry Pi into our team page, the README file.
Oh, nice! Look at you. That's the best team page I've seen. It has instruction, and so you have basically research updates, right?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Joshua Lemsegid. I am 13 years old and I go to King's Junior High. My expectation in the beginning of this coding class is that I didn't think I was gonna like learn this much, and I didn't think we were gonna be this far, like at coding. And I'm very grateful that you guys can teach us every weekend and spend you guys' time so we can have a good future and we can use coding in our future.
My name is Lidet Pigru. I go to North Shore Christian Academy. I'm in 5th grade now. Based off of this coding class, I really enjoyed it, and what I really liked about it, it had many concepts of learning, like STEM, science, math, English, engineering, and I learned a lot from it, and I really hope that it could continue. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sadeh Sadik. I'm 13 years old and I go to Olympic View Middle School in 8th grade, and I wanted to learn. I expected this class to teach us just basic coding, but of course we went way farther than that and we learned many new things that I never thought I would learn before, and I'm really grateful for you guys that you spent your time to teach us all of that.
So this is basically the design for yeah, so like this is what we were what we were planning to make our project look like, and this is the database that I was working on, and I inserted the Amharic words table in here, and it shows all of the words here, and then I'm going to work on inserting the audio files into the database. So yeah, so this is what the database looks like. I created a table and put the Amharic words in, and all of them are listed here. And yeah, okay. This is like the category for the words, like what kind of word it is, and these are the English words, Amharic words, and then this will show who is like responsible for that word, and then this is the audio that we're gonna have for that word, and you'll be able to play it and record there. Yeah. I just went here and I pressed, like, I imported like a CSV file, and there, like, I wrote the code here, or I put the words here, and I copied the file name and copied the path, and I put it here, and I imported it, and I just added all the columns, and then it just appeared. But if you want to add more information, then you have to update the table.
I'm Saron Tashum. I'm 13 and I go to King Junior High. In the beginning of coding, I wanted to learn like how to code and like the basic concepts of it. But I've learned a lot more and I'm really grateful. So thank you.
All right.
Actually, yeah, you know, I was actually kind of shocked when you told me, when you asked us to remember where we were when we started. My knowledge of coding when we started ended at, it was going to Scratch and dragging blocks across the screen. That was that's what I thought coding was. I didn't know it went beyond that. I'm looking at my progress now. I'm looking at all of our progresses now, and the amount of change we went in just this short amount of time is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, guys.
That means a lot.
If you told me at the beginning of this year where I would be now, I would have called you.
Thank you guys so much. Good night, America. I will see you next week. All besides Tabor. Okay, bye bye. I love you. Good night, America.
እሺ ሀብታሙ ይህን ቪዲዮ ስላዘጋጀልን በጣም እናመሰግናለን። አሁን የምንሄደው ወደ መጀመሪያው ተጋባዥ እንግዳችን ገስት ስፒከር ማራኪ ከተማ ይሆናል። በእምነት ያስተዋውቅልናል ማራኪን። ወደ በእምነት
just a second. All right, so I would like to introduce Maraki KETEMA, who is a senior product manager at Tableau Software. She is a co-worker of mine. I work with her at Tableau, and Maraki has been a great friend and a colleague to work with. She joined Tableau, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, if I remember correctly, and she has been phenomenal. Like, I have worked with her in many different projects, and I work with her too closely in our team. One of my very surreal moments of Maraki was when I saw her at TC. So the picture you're seeing is from one of the conferences that she was leading. This is a conference attended by like thousands of people, and I think 10,000 people at some point would attend. It would be a big conferences all over the country, and she was one of the speakers representing our products. She was showing customers how our product works, and seeing her in the big screen at TC and talking about Ethiopia and where she grew up and telling her story was amazing to hear. So I'm so proud of Maraki, and I'm so thankful that she agreed to join us today and spend the next 10 minutes just encouraging our students and kind of giving them advice on how to move forward. Especially the girl students in our class I know are so excited to hear from her. So with that, Maraki, welcome to our group.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning, and what an inspirational video. Thank you for putting that together and for participating and for sharing your words of inspiration. I was personally encouraged watching that, and it's always great to see young minds like yourselves jumping in and going in full force and trying to learn all of these brand new concepts. I can't share my screen yet because it says that host is disabled attendee sharing.
Now you
so
can share. Try again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool. So let me go ahead and share. Let's see if this works. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and present. So as Bemnet said, my name is MARAKI. I'm a senior product manager at Tableau. I've been there for a little over 5 years. In the background is a picture of Minnesota, snowy Minnesota, which is where I grew up after I moved to the US at the age of 8. And I lived there until I moved to Seattle for work around 5.5 years ago, almost 6, this coming July. I went to college at a liberal arts college called Carleton College, which is in a small town in Minnesota called Northfield, Minnesota. This particular town is known for cows, colleges, and contentment, the 3 C's, because there's lots of cows. There's 2 colleges that are 2 miles apart, and I think the students keep the city content. At least that's what I've heard from the townies. I majored in computer science, which you see on the left, code that you all recognize, right? It's really great to see all of you all getting started early because I didn't actually write a single line of code until I was 20 years old. And that was, it was a transformational experience for me. That wasn't really what I went to school thinking I would do. It wasn't really anything that I thought was possible for me, especially being who I am, being a woman, being Black. It wasn't really something that I saw myself doing. But also the conventional things that you're told to do is to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be an electrical engineer, right? Nobody knows about software engineering. And then on the right-hand side, I also have a minor in neuroscience, which is essentially the study of how people think, how people feel, how people process information. And there's actually a really incredible relationship between computer science and neuroscience, where a lot of concepts that exist in our understanding of how human beings process information is actually incorporated into some of the newer technology that you all will hear about, like AI and machine learning. So it was a great accident, is the way that I like to think about it. And these are kind of my 2 loves as I and the 2 things that I really love to think about day to day. So I started my career at Intel in Folsom, California, which is at the bottom right-hand corner. I worked on solid state drives, which each of you likely have in your computers. And I was there for about 3 months, and my job was to automate some benchmark tests that they ran against all of their solid state drives, as well as competitive drives. And the idea there is to understand how their Intel solid state drives perform against everybody else's, right? And that was my intern project. And I walked away with 2 offers my senior year, but decided to decline both of those for Tableau. So on the left-hand side is an image of our office, our headquarters in Fremont. What you see there actually is one of the beacons of hope in Seattle, especially when the sun comes out, because it shows up in its grand showing. And that's actually an infographic of Mount Rainier. If you guys have time, go Google it and try to kind of see how it was constructed, because it's actually a really great view of it. And then on the right-hand side is Salesforce, which is the company that now owns Tableau. So I've been there about 5 years. I started off as a software engineer. Did that for about 2 years. I worked on a variety of things. I worked on test automation, test infrastructure. I worked on building features, right? And shipping features, like you guys are going to be doing with your Amharic program.
I lost the remote.
And about 3.5 years ago or so, I decided to transition to a product manager role. So most people kind of come to me when I say I'm a product manager, and they're like, what is product management? Do you manage projects? What do you do? Like, what exactly, how does that fit into tech? right? Like why does your job matter? And there's kind of 4 pillars that make up my job. The first is the business, right? What does the business need? What are the trends in the business? What are our customers looking for? What's going to help us grow? What is the ask from the CEO? And kind of looking at that to determine, okay, these are the set of things that we need to build to shift our business forward. The second piece of it is data, right? Data is critical to anything and everything that we do. It helps us determine what we're going to build and why we're going to build it. The third component is design. And I work with user experience designers who help kind of bring to life the ideas that I've conceptualized. We walk through this iterative process of making sure that what we're building makes sense. So any product that you've ever used, you know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, your bank app, has gone through this process where a product manager has had to sit down and say, okay, what are we going to build and why? What's the data telling us? And designers have had to kind of go through the entire process of what is that end-to-end experience? And a product manager has worked with them to map that back into the business needs and to the data to make sure that what they're designing makes sense. And then finally, comes the engineering point. And when I was a software engineer, I was kind of at the end of that software development process, as I call it. And as a product manager, I'm kind of part of the entire process. And I get to kind of make sure that we're building the right thing, that it's fitting within the right timelines, so on and so forth. So that is what product management is, and I'm happy to talk to you all a little bit about whatever questions you might have about that towards the end. Okay, so there are many different sectors of technology, right? There's social media, there is marketing technology, there's sales technology, but then there's also data, and data plays a role in basically everything that we do. Data has an impact on everybody's life, including yours. The grades that you get, that's data, right? What your teachers use to determine whether you have an A or a B or a C or whatever, that's data. Your text messages, the messages that you received, the length of that message, the time it came in, right? All of the messages that you've received over a span of time, that's data. Your bank account and your spending habits, that's data. And so my job is essentially to help people see and understand data, right? To help them be more successful with their data. And that becomes super important because there's a lot of data, right? All of these little icons that you see at the top of the screen, those represent all of the different pieces that could be coming in, all of the different information that could be critical to a business's ability to make proper decisions. And my job is to make sure that they're able to pull it through that funnel effectively to build these beautiful visualizations, right? To build these beautiful charts that allow them to gain the appropriate insight into what their business, how their business is growing, what problems exist within their business, right? One example is in Zambia, they set out to eliminate malaria, right? It was a goal. They said, we're gonna eliminate malaria 100%. And what they did was they started to identify the different villages through data that were being affected so they could know how to deploy different health workers, right? And so they had to figure out what is the data that we need to look at, what is the process that that data has to go through to prepare it for analysis, and what are the different visualizations that we need to build to make sure that we're deriving the right insights to really help you know, in the growth process or in resolving whatever problems we think we have. And I specifically live within the data management space, which is all around curating as well as helping customers sort of better organize their data and understand how it's being used. Okay, cool. So now I just want to quickly say a couple of things about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because Bemnet told me when we chatted earlier last week that you all specifically requested, you know, a woman in the tech industry to come and speak to you all. I see a head nod. And I just want to talk about what that means and what that experience is. And I want to make sure we, speaking the same language, right? So there's sort of 3 different pillars that we have to kind of consider. Diversity is, people and their different perspectives, whether, you're bringing the perspective of living in Ethiopia and the challenges that that country has, or, being a veteran and the challenges of being a veteran, right? There are many different perspectives. And if we want to build tools that help everybody, we want to make sure that those folks are also represented at the table. Equity is the second one, which is policies, practices, and positions, right? Making sure that the people who look like me and you, who are showing up and providing this diverse perspective, are properly compensated, are properly promoted, have equal opportunity, right? That is what equity means. And then lastly is inclusion, right? Because you can show up to the table, you can sit down, but if you're not heard, what was the point, right? If your voice was not heard, what was the point? And the tech industry has problems on all 3 of these fronts, as does most of corporate America. And that's kind of the reality of the world, right? But as the great Martin Luther King Jr. said, we shall overcome. And we will, one step at a time, one person at a time. And programs like the one that you all have been a part of are a pivotal aspect of making sure that the tools that we build are built for the world, right? Built for people who are coming from different backgrounds. So this was a picture that was taken in February of 2020 during one of my other keynotes. And there's a couple things that I want to point out about this picture in particular. All of these people, with the exception of me, are all either VPs or people in the C-suite. I'm the only one that is sort of like towards the bottom of the totem pole. Most of them are men, right? There's only 3 women, which actually is pretty good, generally speaking, because that sometimes you'll be the only woman. The other thing to observe is the people that we're all looking at. There's about 2,000 to 3,000 people in front of us, and roughly about 1,000 people or so viewing a live stream. And I would say that roughly 70% of them are men, and only 3 to 4% are people that look like me and you. There's maybe like 2 or 3 Ethiopians in the mix. Yeah. So this is kind of the reality of it, right? And I want to be really truthful and honest about that. But the thing to realize is that right, this could, perhaps you all relate to this. Perhaps this is what your classrooms look like. I know when I was growing up, and this was, a while back, this was what my classrooms looked like, where I was the only Black student, right? But the thing that I want to point out, right, is that I belonged there as much as any one of these individuals. Like, I belonged on that stage as much as any one of those individuals. And it wasn't because of my race, it wasn't because of my gender, but because I was uniquely qualified to be there. And that is the thing that you have to always hold on to when you find yourself in these situations, and you will. And that is the tool that will help you persevere through that college class, right? Through that college admission process. That is the thing that will help you persevere. Validation comes from within. And I know that we're in church, and I think I, flashed this slide a minute ago, but there's a phrase that I found online yesterday as I was searching that I thought was, fit in really well. Because I said, right, validation comes from within, and that's because God put it there for you, right? And so the phrase is, right, like, I'm God validated, I'm, God verified, God authenticated, and God authorized. And that is something that you should repeat to yourself every day, right? And that's something that you should know as being your truth, your fact, because there will be challenges. The other thing that I want to add here is that the greatest form of resistance is success. That is the best thing that you can do. It's the greatest form of protest, believe me. It's personally my mode of protest is my success. and making sure that I share that with as many people as I can, especially folks like you who look like me. And then the second thing is, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, right, we must accept finite disappointment, because those things will be there. There will be somebody that disappoints you, somebody that passes you up for a promotion or whatever. But we should never lose infinite hope, because that is the light that we should always chase after. So, you know, when people say advice, you know, most people expect, you know, people like me to come in here and say things like, you know, go to school, which you should. Or people expect me to come and say, be a computer science major, which you should if you want to, right? But in anything that you do, make sure that you understand that you are uniquely qualified to be there, and that you find confidence in that, because there is greatness bestowed upon all of you. All right, that's my spiel. I don't know how much time I have, but I'd love to take questions and address anything that I might have missed. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Maraki. This is really amazing. I thank you for your time putting together these slides, and also taking time to touch so many hearts. I'm sure the kids are dying to ask you so many questions. I know some of them might be muting their mic, unmuting their mic right now, but we're running low on time. And I know, Maraki, you have to go at the end of this hour. So I will give like 2 students a chance to ask questions. So if you want to ask a question to Maraki, unmute your mic now, and you can ask the question.
In your job as a product manager, what exactly do you do in each of those 4 stations?
The way to think about it, right, is like, in some ways I'm kind of the decision maker, right? It's my job to determine what is being built and why, and to justify that using business reasons, right? Because if there's a reason that, if it's not unblocking our customers, right, if it's not making our customers better or making us money, then there's not really much point in building it. But then it's also my job to collaborate with all those folks to make sure that those things are being built correctly, as well as to make sure that we're building it in the right timeline. So sometimes you'll have to kind of, right, like for example, when you built your application, right, the Ethiopian language is large, but you could only probably support a subset of items. And my job is to determine what is that subset of words that will be part of the application. There might have been other translations, right? Maybe we wanted to do Amharic to Spanish, Amharic to Portuguese, right? But my job is to say, no, we're just gonna do Amharic to English because that's what the customers need right now. So I'm kind of like the decision maker in a lot of ways.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yep.
What made you want to study computer science?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The pressure on me was to be a doctor. Perhaps some of you can relate. And the thing for me was I took a computer science class and I loved creating things. I loved seeing things come alive. But then I also realized that there was a need, from my perspective, within the tech industry, right? That I knew that I brought a unique perspective. And I saw that the power that technology can have on people's lives, and I wanted to be a part of that, right? Technology is something that we all consume from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. And I wanted to make sure that I played my part and could contribute and could serve in a way that best fit the people within my community, as well as, you know, make sure that my own personal values and things like that were incorporated within the tech industry. So that's why I chose to go down this road.
Thank you.
Who inspired? I didn't hear a question from the ladies.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay. Yeah.
What is the hardest part of what you do?
Oof. Good question. The hardest part of what I do is you know, there are often moments where I have to justify my place in a room, right? My seat at a table. And sometimes I have to work harder to do that than, you know, a man or, you know, a person who is a part of the majority class would typically have to do. And coming to terms with how to do that and how to do it gracefully, but also consistently remembering that thing that I told you guys, that validation comes from within, is something that I have to work hard at every day. So I would say that is the hardest thing. Like, the job isn't necessarily hard, right? There are challenges in the job, right? But it's some of those other things that are happening in the background that sometimes will result in difficulties. Good question. You're welcome.
All right, one more question from the ladies.
Oh wait, can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead, Efrison.
Well, it's not a question, but actually you're amazing.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you.
Why can't we see your face?
I can't see you.
Are you inspired by her? Yeah. Efeson is one of our creative person in the room. She almost started writing a book at some point. So look out for a book at some point from Efeson.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that, and you know, sending you love and blessings from Queen Anne. I don't know where you live, but I live in Queen Anne. And hopefully I'll get to meet you all in person someday.
Yeah, once COVID is gone, we will see. All right, so
Sarun was raising hand.
Oh yeah, go ahead, unmute yourself and just say. I can't see everyone, so.
I wanted to ask, what kind of products do you exactly make?
Okay, yeah, good question. So you remember that funnel that I showed you an image of? There's a lot of things that go into that funnel, and the products that I work on specifically, the one that Bemnet and I are focused on, is a product called Tableau Prep. And it's essentially aimed at helping people clean their data so they can get it ready for analysis. So what does dirty data even mean, right? So my last name, KETEMA, K-E-T-E-M-A, sometimes people will spell it wrong, K-A-T-E-M-A. And sometimes that will show up in the data, and there have to be ways to quickly find that and correct it. But also, right, sometimes you'll have values that are wrong, right? Like negative 1,000 can't be the cost of an onion, right? But sometimes you'll have that, as ridiculous as it sounds, within the data, and our product helps you find that quickly and correct it. There's also another piece called data catalog, which helps you understand the different relationships, right? A data has been cleaned and now it's being used, but how many people are actually using it? Who's using that data? What types of data visualizations and insights have been created to put that data to use? And I spent some time thinking about that. And then, you know, in the future, there will be a security component coming up sometime in 2021 that my team's also thinking about. But I'm mostly focused on the data preparation piece. I think Lida too had a question.
Yeah. So like, who inspired you to be who you are right now?
Oof. You know, first and foremost, I have two of the most incredible parents. They are inspirational to me because they helped me get to a place where I am today. I had really incredible professors who saw something in me and helped encourage me through the process. I remember going into my professor's office when we were learning for loops and being like, I don't understand this. I don't get it. What are you telling me to do, right? And she spent about 2 hours with me. She shut her door and she spent 2 hours with me walking through it until I got it right. And I ended up getting an A in that class. And this was in my intro to CS class. I had a really incredible advisor who, you know, would call me into his office. In college, we had a requirement that you needed to complete gym, 4 classes of gym to graduate, right? It follows you even to college, trust me, at least to liberal arts colleges. And he told me, he's like, listen, you're a good student, but you're not going to graduate if you don't finish your gym requirements, right? And what he taught me, right, was that I need to be a whole person, that it's not just about hitting the books, right? I need to show up as a whole person, spirit, mind, and body in order to be successful. You know, there's incredible people at work like Bemnet. I don't know if you guys know, right? He's a software architect, but he is the first person of color, the first Black person to ever do that in Tableau's history. And that is the highest level of engineering that you can reach. I don't know if you guys know that about, it is at Tableau at least. It is. So I don't know if you guys know that, right? But for me, you know, being, you know, I'm almost 28 and seeing somebody with all of this experience kind of reach those heights is inspirational for me. There are people who believed in me at work, who've helped pave a path that I didn't really know existed. So those are some of the people that have inspired me to be who I am.
All right, thank you guys. Unfortunately, we have to move on. We have about 40 minutes of presentation from these amazing kids. I think we could spend another 2 hours with Maraki. We could learn a lot by asking her, and I promise you guys that I will pull her in again for the next year class to do more in-depth presentation on what we could do. Like, we want to learn more from her. I know you guys have more questions, but we will come back to that. So thank you, Maraki. Thank you for taking time, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All the best, y'all.
All right. Now to Wondosen.
እሺ ማራኪ በጣም እናመሰግናለን። አሁን የምንሄደው ወደሚቀጥለው ወደ ተማሪዎች ፕሬዘንቴሽን ይሆናል። የመጀመሪያውን ፕሬዘንቴሽን ከተማሪዎች የምታቀርብልን ሳሮን ሰብስቤ።
ጤና ይስጥልኝ፣ እንደምን አደራችሁ? ሳሮን የቦነ እባላለሁ እና የስድስተኛ ክፍል ተማሪ ነኝ። ይሄ ማቀርብላችሁ በእንግሊዝኛ ነው የሚሆነው። I'm representing the Raspberry Pi interface for the Amharic translator group. My teammates are Efeson and Efrata, and our teacher is Abi. Here's some terminology you will find in our presentation that you might not know what it means. Raspberry Pi is a credit card-sized computer that can be run like a desktop, like this one. A module is a bunch of prepared code that can be downloaded onto a processor to complete a task. Software, like a module, is some code that can be downloaded onto a computer or desktop to do a certain job. GitHub is a code hosting website where people can collaborate their code like we used. And VS Code is a code editing software that can be downloaded onto a computer. The GPIO pins are the pins on the Raspberry Pi, which are like here. That allow it to access and interact with the outside world. Debugging is taking an error or incorrection in code and fixing it. And troubleshooting is using a different strategy or finding a workaround to do something in coding. The Raspberry Pi interface records English words and sends the file to the next team, which is voice-to-text translation. During this project, we have used many systems to run and organize our code, like GitHub and VS Code. By the end of this presentation, you'll know and see how we record English words for Amharic translator. This is the final project demo. This is the flowchart of our code in action. First, the button is pressed. Just click. Then the light turns on. Then the person records audio. Then the user presses the button again, and the audio file is exported to the next team to be translated. Here is a video. Our basic coding process that we used is brainstorming, researching, prototyping, and testing. During the prototype part, we often had to debug and troubleshoot. Code and explanation. The node error code. This code is a module and software that you can be downloaded onto Raspberry Pi and used to record audio, or in our case, English words. What the code does is record your voice for 10 seconds. When it's done, it will print in the log, done with recording. But in the completed code, it stops recording when you press the button again. The LED light. The LED light code is controlled by a series of variables and functions. It uses GPIO pins and the on-off module to control the LED light with the press of a button. Play completed code. This is the full code to record your voice with the LED button and air record module. It will start the translator. Here is just a few pointers I will show you with the code. The on-off module is a module used to turn the light on and off, and FS is the file manager we use to control our audio files. Achievements. Here are some milestones we've reached. In January, we coded, this was the first time we had ever coded something. In February, we made our first game. It was a hangman-based game, but it didn't have any graphics. By August, we had the original code working for the translator. And now, in late November, we have the final code working. Thanks to God and the church for giving us this opportunity. Thanks to Bemni for teaching us and inspiring us to code. Thanks to Abi, who guided us through the project and helped us. Thanks to Efrat and Efeson for cooperating and working with me as a team during the whole project. Thanks to our parents for providing what we needed and encouraging us. Last but not least, thanks to all the team leaders and members for cooperating with each other to this project. Here are some essential tools we use to complete the project. We use GitHub, Raspberry Pi, VNC Viewer, VS Code, Node.js, and Slack. We learned a lot of important things like using a collaboration of Git and GitHub to control the Raspberry Pi, Node.js modules, and learned to troubleshoot and debug their code. We also learned how to work as a team over Zoom and Slack. Our journey. Since January 23rd, we have been learning to code. Every week, Bemnet would give us homework or a page in the book for us to study. Then, in July, we had began the translator project. We now completed the project with a successful outcome of a translator. In the future, we have many other projects planned. There might be a translator app or an origami program, and many more ideas for project ideas later on. One thing is certain, we will never stop coding. Thank you.
Good job. But I'm go بزلج Efeson, Efrata, and Saron. Next group, just give me a second. Let me fix the slides. Next is the Ebenezer's group, the team that is voice to text.
Amharic translator, voice to text group. So there might be some words over the duration of our presentation that won't be very easy to understand, and this is our terminology page to help. Debugging is taking out bugs and errors that affect our code output. Transcript is information from another format turned into text. Concise means specific and only having what you need. Google API is a service given to us by Google to perform specific tasks. And a terminal is a space where you can see your code's output. So our group has a total of 4 members if you count our teacher, Tabor, me, Natan, and Saror. The job of our overall code is not only to translate from English audio to English text, but to take that text, and make it Amharic. This is our basic process. Researching and then taking our research and giving it a shot, and then just finalizing what we have. The first step was research. It's a massive part of our code. Not only did the rest of our code not only would the rest of our code not be able to happen without research, but in the research we found a good maybe 10 to 20% of our code we found just by research. Attempting is when we take the code we found from our research, or the knowledge, the data that we found from our research, and try to put it in our code and see if it helps. Not everything we put into the code is part of the final outcome. That's why I call it attempts, not just put it. And finalization, this is probably the easiest step. We debug and we clear our entire code of everything we don't need. We make it concise and we give our code description, make sure we understand everything, and make sure it works as it should.
This is my part. This is error handling. I was supposed to handle this part. And the error handling process was how it worked was we were trying to debug our mistakes, tell error messages, check our errors, and finally finalize. Error messages. We were sending error messages. That's when you find the right error message for the right time. This is helpful because if other people have errors with the translator, they will know what errors to put. We also needed to deal with our own error messages. For example, one time we got an error that looped so we couldn't see the error in the terminal. Debugging. We also had some troubles debugging. We had made mistakes while writing and accidentally pressing buttons, so debugging took a long time. Also, some other people were debugging some other person's code and it was really confusing. I can't tell exactly how it was. Error checking is arguably the hardest part. We run into codes and see the terminal for errors we need to fix. It takes a lot of time and attention. If we fix it and cannot find the errors, we try other ways to fix it. And it's really confusing. Double checking for completion. Finalizing the errors is when you double check the errors and try to run it. If it doesn't run right, it could be someone else's code. If not, go back to checking again. It can be frustrating when it doesn't work. Also, checking with other leaders and team members is a good idea.
There are two separate parts of our code. The first part is the conversion from audio to text. We take the audio given us from the Raspberry Pi interface group before us and convert it to English text using the Google API that was called. The second and last part of our code takes the output from the first part and uses that output and converts it to Amharic text after calling a different Google API. Milestones. We had multiple milestones across the way of our smaller group. We had our first kickoff meeting, the first time we could properly run our voice-to-text English code, and the first time we could run the other half. Lastly, the first time we could run our entire code all together with all of the other codes in the mix. After the completion of our code, there was still plenty to do. After the completion of our code was officially official, there was still plenty of work to do. The goal was to run the code from the main program. To do this, that meant debugging the codes of others, and in the end, we were not exactly the first to run the whole code end to end. Of course, there's another part after completing our code. This happens to be the last step, presenting. After all our work is done, presenting is a way to share it without confusing others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ebenezer, Nathan, and Saron for working hard on the Amharic translation project. Next is Sarem and Nahom, Sion, and Joshua.
This is the Record Amharic Words group. Our teacher is Vemnet. Our two group leaders are Sarem and Nahom, and the students / team members are Sion and Joshua. Our team, so we first formed in July of 2020. We met on Thursdays as a group, as a small group, and then Sundays with the big group. We met a couple extra times we met an extra couple times to work on the website with our partners. So Nahum would work together and Josh and Sarim would work together. And now we're almost expert coders.
Terminology. Firebase. Firebase is a database that we are currently using. It allows all members of our team to access and edit our data. JavaScript and HTML are two different languages. MySQL is the first database that we tried, but we weren't able to download it. Postgres is a database that we used for a while, but it didn't allow other team members to access the information.
Building the website. The process of creating a decent website to record words was done through Visual Studio Code and lasted approximately 2 to 3 weeks. Here are the things we did. So we first used Java code to make our buttons, drop-downs, and etc. To do the action we wanted them to commit. Using HTML, we added buttons. The up buttons like drop-downs, tables, and titles. We added smaller details or fixed any issues with our code. And now our peers can record an equal amount of Amharic words, so we can have a greater variety of words to translate from English to Amharic. And on the left, you could see some Java code, and on the right, some HTML we used to make buttons, drop-downs, tables, and titles. Here is some more code we used for like buttons. So this is JavaScript code, and it basically, like, when you click, it's basically for a stop button. So after you record your word, this code functions so that you can stop your recording, and then it will save it to the database.
So if you didn't know, a database is an organized collection of data, and we used a database for this project so that all of our data would be easy to access and store. And yeah, okay, database and storage. So MySQL was a database that we tried to use at first, but we weren't able to download it. And Postgres was working for a while, but ended up getting complicated because only the person who worked on it could access it, while the rest of the team couldn't. And Firebase is the database we're currently using. And we imported our list of words, which was created by one of the team members, into the database. And we were all able to access the data, as well as being able to add and remove words from our website right on the database. And when we recorded our words, they were saved and sent to Firebase. Firebase is like a public storage. You rent a public storage to put stuff in there, and that's how Firebase works. But in our case, it doesn't store objects, it stores words. And this is a Firebase import code. So we use this code to import the list of words.
Accomplishments. During this very long and time-consuming journey of coding, our group has learned many things. Some things are, we learned how to build a website, we learned how to navigate through Visual Studio Code, and we learned how to use a database, and we also learned how to better cooperate with our teammates.
Our journey. When we started this coding class around January of 2019, most of us knew completely nothing about coding. Every week for a couple of months, Bemnet would give us specific chapters to read, and we would learn more every week. After that, around the beginning of July, we started the Record Amharic Words project. We wanted to make this so that Habeshas and Americans can have a way to communicate. I am surprised we will finish this project soon, and I am also surprised on how far all of us come.
What is next? From here, we plan to use our knowledge of JavaScript, HTML, Visual Studio Code, and databases to create new projects. And we also plan to support other people during their coding journey the same way we were helped during ours.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys, and you are on time as well. So thank you everybody. Next is the text to audio team. Ready?
Hi, I'm Ruday, and I'm the leader of the text to audio team. My other two teammates were Arsema and Ludetu Kibru. Our guides were Haptamu Asafau and Malaku Mokra, my father. Terminology. This is just a list of words that you will see in our presentation and you might not understand what they mean. A module is a file that holds a specific code to complete a task. Oftentimes, a module can be called again to be used in another file. Function. A bundle of code that can be called again later in the program. Oftentimes, a function will take an argument or a parameter. A Raspberry Pi is a small computer typically used to promote education of computer science. Loop. A code that repeats itself again and again. A variable is a piece of data that can be changed. An argument or a parameter is an input for a function. A directory is where files are stored. Conditions are a part of a program that runs based off of whether a Boolean is true or false. Boolean is a variable that can only be true or false. Array is a variable that can store more than one piece of information. Arrays will have index meanings, meaning a number for each bit of information stored in the array. Our task. Every team included in the Amharic voice translator has a specific task that they are trying to complete. The text to audio's team's task is to convert text into audio. We do this by taking the audio file given to us by the Record Amharic Words team and downloading that file. Once the file has been downloaded, it will be played. By the end of this presentation, you will understand how we completed this task. The flowchart explaining our code. So the result is the array of objects that we get from Bemnet's team, and the download function will download the audio file, and the results is the input for that function. Then the write file function will save the downloaded files. And then file will be the input for the write file function. And then play file function will play the audio file. But if there is more than one audio file, the playing audio function will iterate between the 2 or 3 audio files that we have. Downloading the audio file. In order to be successful, there are 2 major tasks that we need to complete. Downloading the audio file given to us by the Record Amharic Words team and playing that file once it has been downloaded. We started by researching how we were going to download the audio file. We found a code snippet that used the http.get function. http.get is a function used to retrieve audio files. We were able to use this function to download the audio file, but later on this function started causing problems. So we turned to the Axios module. Axios is a module that can download files. Research. So this is just the basic process of what we did. So first we researched to find some info. The information we found online worked for a little while, but later on it caused some errors, so we changed our plan. Playing the audio file. Once the file was downloaded, Bumnet, you skipped. Once the file was downloaded, we had to play the audio file. We played the file by using a Raspberry Pi module called aplay. aplay is a module used to play audio files. This part of our program proved to be challenging because oftentimes the file would not download correctly, or the delivery of the downloaded file from the download function to the play function would not execute properly, causing an error. This part of our program was probably one of the most frustrating parts. So this is just the basic, please go back. This is the basic process that we used to complete this task. We got an idea, but it didn't work very well, so we started again, and after several hours of editing and debugging, our goal was finally achieved. Downloading multiple audio files. Once we were able to play and download one audio file, we had to be able to play and download multiple audio files. This part was a bit challenging and we had to change and edit our code several times before we finally succeeded. In order to download 2 audio files, we had to use a loop so that we could download one file, then download the next. This was the most annoying part of our code. So the image that you see of the code is just the loop part. And on line 39, we are storing 0 in a variable. Then as long as I is less than the length of the results, continue adding 1 more to I. On line 40, we specify what directory we want the audio file downloaded to. Then on line 41, we store the array containing the link to the audio file in a variable named URL. Playing multiple audio files. Once we have downloaded more than one audio file, it's time to play more than one audio file. We use the same concept we used for downloading the files. We used a for loop to download each file one by one. The picture shows what the completed loop would look like. On line 101, we create a loop that will iterate through all of the indexes in the audio array. On line 102, we call the play file function, which will play each audio file one by one. And this is just the basic idea of what our code will do. First, it will download the audio file. Then it will save the downloaded file in the resources directory. Then it will give the audio file to the user. And after that, after the file has been played, it will be deleted. Challenges. While working on our project, we faced several challenges. The task that was probably the most challenging for us was playing and downloading multiple files. This task was the most challenging because we would download the 2 files, but when it came to playing, we would get 100 million errors. So it took a lot of debugging and editing to finally get this part right. Another challenge that we faced would be playing one audio file. This task was difficult because oftentimes the downloaded file would not save properly, thus causing an error.
Okay, so Now I'm going to present some of the software that we used that helped us in the project is GitHub, Node.js, Visual Studio Code, Slack, and Git. Achievements. Some of our achievements are we learned to work as a team, we learned to navigate through GitHub, we learned how to tackle a large project like this one, successfully ran the entire module resulting in the victory of the team prize. We now have a better understanding of logic and the way things work. Thank you. Thank you to BEMNET for starting this whole project and continuing to work with us even during this pandemic. Thank you to Havtamu and Malaku for guiding us through our project and taking the time to help us when we did not know what to do. Thank you to every participant and person in this project for working together as a team to solve problems. And most importantly, to the parents for trying their best to provide us with the support and materials that we need.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ridatu, Arsema, and Radiate. Thank you for the presentation. Amazing project presentation by everyone. So this concludes our class presentation, and I'm going to give it back to Wandosan.
Okay. Thank you everyone for the great presentation. Now we go to our next guest speaker. Our next guest speaker is DEREJE. DEREJE will introduce himself and he will share his experience with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I was watching and listening the great work you guys are did for the last 12 months. So that's an amazing work. And I also heard what MARAKI told you. So I don't know if I have anything else to add on top of what she told you, because you guys are really doing great. So my part is just to tell you my story, how I came to this country and then where I am now. And so if you guys allow me to share my screen, I can just show you a few slides. Okay. Oh, here you go. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me just put one here. Again, so my name is DEREJE TESSEMA. I live in Rockville, Maryland, and I have this is my favorite quote from Winston Churchill, when it's about giving to someone else. So we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. So my life is all based on giving, because the reason why I'm doing is that I received a lot of support when I was a kid. And without the support I've been given from different places, from my parents, my family members and friends, and I wouldn't be where I am now. So that's where I always see where the value of giving in terms of life. So my background, I was one of the 10 siblings in the family, and my dad retired when I was your age. About 11, 12. He was a local judge, and he was making about 140 birr per month. So maybe your parent will tell you what we probably quit, maybe like $4 or $5 a month for a family of 10. He was a local judge, and he always used to tell us the importance of hard work, perseverance, and setting our goal high. So being the sixth in the family, I have a few people to see, to look up. And then I have also a few people, I'm also responsible for my other 5 siblings. They're actually, looking for my guidance. So I didn't go to the best school in the country and was not also one of the brightest students in the class. However, the determination I had to finish college in Ethiopia was one of the driving factors, which I did. And then after that, I went to Germany, where I had to learn another language, which is the German language, and studied for my graduate degree in engineering. And I worked for, I was the only Black engineer out of the 500 people company in Germany. So you can imagine that, you know, living in Germany and then working, because what MARAKI was, you know, telling you that you may probably see yourself maybe alone in the crowd, but remember, what brought you to that point was not luck. It was hard work and it was determination. So now when I'm done with my school, I moved to the United States. So when I came to this country, I was 28. And I had to figure out to navigate the change in the new country. So because I studied in Africa and then, you know, work in Germany, in Europe, and then came back to the United States. So I'm telling you because I want to, you know, that, you know, you are lucky to have caring families, good community, and then the school system is supportive. Because I heard when you introduced earlier, you are from you know, a fine schools in the Seattle area. So which is you may take it for granted, but when I went to middle school, we had not only two, we had 3 shifts in the school. So because with so many students, it was like 2 or 3 rooms in that. And then I grew up in Ambo, it's about 120 kilometers from the capital. So a little bit about my family. So my wife and Beza, and her full name is Beza Kullu. We have 3 children like what you guys are going through. We also have tried to teach them the power of hard work. And when they go to bed, because both of us were working for our PhD, when they go to bed, they see us reading. When they wake up, they see us reading. So they have no other option except that, you know, kind of going on that way. And they realize that hardworking pays off. So Dagmawi is our oldest son. And he's now a senior in one of the Ivy schools. So he is at the University of Pennsylvania, graduating in computer science. So he will be joining, he'll come to Seattle when he's done. He got accepted by Microsoft. And Barakata Ab is my second son, who is double majoring in business and engineering, and he's in Washington University, St. Louis. And our daughter is Radet, and I think I heard someone was Radet in the group, and she is a high school senior, and she's working on her mom and her brother, they're writing their college essay. And but they were born here, and we try to teach them in English. And for up to 10 years, they don't know that I speak English. They always know that I only speak in Amharic, and then their mom speaks in English. So they started switching back and forth. So they attended Sunday school at Mariam Church here in the DC. And they also participated in tutorial class. So they taught juniors and elementary schools. And they also traveled with us and volunteered. I don't know if you heard about the Fistula Hospital. That's one of the hospitals, maybe the only hospitals in the Eastern Africa that treats girls who were forced to get married at 12, 13, and then get pregnant. So that is the hospital established by Dr. Hamlin, and they were going back and bringing all the materials for these girls to kind of help them to integrate into society. So volunteering is what we always tell to do. It doesn't matter. It could be probably like, helping someone crossing the road, or maybe picking something from where you are. So that it doesn't have to be like a bigger role. The reason why I'm bringing here is that because Maraki and then all of your teachers told you the actual way, and then I'm kind of telling a little bit the different side. Now, why am I telling you this again? Because nothing is impossible if you put your mind into it. So for me, growing up in a countryside, going out all of this mainstream and try to accomplish what I set, as a goal is pretty much, it's hard, but it's attainable. So I said I'm going to run a marathon. So I ran 11 marathons and about like 15 half marathons. So what you see here is that all of those, I'm not a fast runner, but this is like, a finisher's marathon, but it tells you that the determination to run 4 hours non-stop. And I said, I'm going to write a book. And these are the 2 books that I published. And both of them are on the US elections. And so that's what I was saying, that, if I, a person who speaks English with an accent, came to this country at the later age, go back to school and graduate from 4 universities, not only 1, write 3 books, volunteer for the US election, establish an online college, teach at the universities, including Georgetown, and while raising 3 kids. I remember when I was in Disneyland, the kids were like 5, 6, and 7. We go the whole day with them. Most of them are on my shoulder. And then we go back to the hotel, stay in like 3 a.m. in the morning, and then had to work for my PhD work. And then they wake up like an hour later and they say, "Good, Dad, let's go back." So we're kind of shuttling back and forth, but we didn't lose sight on what our kids need to work on. So now what I do now is, like what I said, it's I'm kind of leading a major project. I'm a project manager by profession. So you're asking Maraki what she does. And what I do is I actually manage those major projects that the IT teams are working for the $400 and something million project that the government is deploying. So that is something that I'm currently working. And the other thing here is that I just want to let you know that no one is perfect and achieve a perfect grade, but working hard is not giving up your dream. It's the way you will get to your goal. So you probably need to realize that not only getting all S and receiving the presidential certificates and getting all, that doesn't necessarily that's going to make you a good person. Respecting others' opinion, being humble, listening to others, giving back to your community, and then helping others, who need help, make you a complete person. So I can tell you that my 3 kids, Dagmawi is all about winning. Everything he thinks about, he's, I'm going to be here, and he's a mathematician. So he said, who's number 1, who's number 2. And Barakat is a human being. He is humble and he's working. So what we're trying to do is we tell Dagmawi to take a little bit of Barakat's quality, and we tell Barakat a little bit of Dagmawi's push. So in that case, you can get a balance of 2. So that's something which you also need to probably remember. And also giving back is like what I said. In the last 2.5 years, we created a group called Teach and Serve for Africa. And this group is responsible for organizing professionals like your parents. They have an impeccable record, working in different companies, and organizing them to go back and then give to the country where the country gave us a lot for us. So I traveled almost 12 times in 1 year to teach project management, leadership, and to work with all of these, government employees, and including the Prime Minister. I met with the Prime Minister, and I told him what we are doing. I met with the Deputy Prime Minister, and then I also met with the Parliament and all of those folks, and then we told them that yes, we're ready to support. So currently, as I speak, we have about 3,400 students taking a class in online platforms. That is pretty much an impressive, voluntary activities on that. So what you see here is that these are all the different type of trainings that we've been giving in Ethiopia, and also trying to kind of help the instructors over there. But every time we do, because one thing that impressed me from your presentation is you have already started working as a group. So individually you may excel, or you may probably have 3, 4, 5 members in your group. And I even saw that one of the group members, she was humble enough to say that my group helped me on that. So having this humbleness and having this honesty at your age is really, really kind of a testimony of how your parents have already invested on you on those core values. You see what's going on out there in the higher level, at the president level in the United States, that, we're missing those core values. When everyone is saying it's about me and me, then you start losing it. So whenever I teach and then show people about voluntarism, you can see this picture. So the first picture is one person running alone. And he's fast, he can run all the way in, but if he's not, like, if he drops the button, if he drops the ball, the whole team, got disqualified. But on the right side, what you see here is that it's a group work. So the group work means that you have to respect others, your group members, and then just work with them, listen to them, and contribute to your part. So that is what we're actually pushing in our level. And at the same time, like what I told you earlier, is everyone can be successful. But success that doesn't necessarily equate with, getting hired or doing, being a millionaire. But within that success, you also have to have some form of commitment and purpose, and some form of, competency, which actually Maraki told you that, because when she was one of the few professionals, and African-American professionals on that tableau, on that big and major respected company, she didn't come by luck. She said that, she gave credit to her parents. And then she also said that she worked hard. So working hard is pretty much something that I always say that need to be, part of your philosophy. Again, you may fail. So did I fail in my projects? Yes. Did I had some disappointment? Yes. So life is not a straight, road. You cannot go on straight. It is, winning and losing, and at the same time, just you dust it off and then just move on. So these are like the principle of what we always say in when we work together as a team. I have a few more slides, which I don't want to go into the area where this is what we actually put together as a roadmap for coordinating and organizing volunteers from a different area. So you will be part of this group, the wisdom folks, business owners, the service. And when you go to college and when you finish, then you're going to be into the second generation Ethio-Americans. So your country is actually, looking for your support. And then you also, your country here in the United States, and then you're also your parents' country at the same time. So this is where we are actually planning to organize people to go and then serve in a different capacity. When you serve, you also see, you know, people from the higher point. You know, these are ministers and directors and the higher point of the country that they wanted our service. And if you see here, we were giving for 600, 700, 800 people, you know, free training. So that's why I said that this is probably something which that I underline on that. We participated on different type of projects, including, you know, planting trees in Ethiopia, and then also listening to the you know, the kids and then the family over there. So I, like what I said, I don't have a lot of information to share, but what I'm telling you is that you are the luckiest, one of the luckiest groups in the area, and your parents they have to take credit for that, because they gave everything to give you everything. And that is where we need to see, because I have seen with my kids, and you make them proud. And every time I talk about my son, even though they say that it's embarrassing, you know, don't say that, but that's what we feel. Because we've seen so many kids that went south. We've seen so many kids that got distracted out of their life. But for you to spend that year working on this difficult computer you know, programming, to me, that tells me that you are really, really doing well. So with that, if you have any question, I can answer. And if not, hopefully you will be one of our volunteer service you know, members, and hopefully we're going to see you somewhere in those big companies, and where you actually make a big difference in the life of others.
አሁን የሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራማችን ዋትስ ኔክስት የሚለው ነው። ዋትስ ኔክስት የሚለውን የሚያቀርቡልን በእምነትና ሀብታሙ ናቸው። ወደ እነሱ እንሄዳለን።
ያ ሶ ብዙ ነገር ተምረናል። ልጆች የሰሩትን ፕሮጀክት አይታችኋል። እንግዲህ ካሁን በኋላ ወዴት ነው የምንሄደው ነው። እንግዲህ ያሰብነው ምንድነው ያለን ቮለንቲሮች፣ አስተማሪዎች፣ ሞር አስተማሪዎች ካገኘን፣ እኛ ጋር አብረው ሊሰሩ የሚችሉ አስተማሪዎች ኮዲንግ ክላስ ካገኘን 2 ክላስ መጀመር እናስባለን። አንደኛ ከ8 ዓመት በላይ ከ12 ዓመት በታች ላሉ ልጆች ኢንትሮዳክሽን ቱ ፕሮግራሚንግ ክላስ ከባይብል ክላሳችን ጋር አብረን ማስተማር እንፈልጋለን። ቀጥሎ ደግሞ አሁን ለተማሩ ያሉ ልጆች፣ አሁን እዚህ ደረጃ ለደረሱ ልጆች ደግሞ ሞር አድቫንስድ የሆነ ፕሮግራሚንግ ክላስ እናስባለን። ይሄንን ክላስ ለጨረሱና ይሄንን ወደ አድቫንስ ሌቭል መሄድ የሚፈልጉ ልጆችን ይዘን ማለት ነውና እሱ እናስባለን። ወደፊት የሚሰሩት ፕሮጀክቶች ሞባይል አፕሊኬሽን፣ አሁን የሰሩትን አምሃሪክ ትራንስሌተር ፕሮጀክት ወደ ስልክ አፕሊኬሽን መስራት እንዲችሉ እናስባለን። እና የተለያዩ አሁን ከረንት ያላቸውን ዲቫይሶች ደግሞ ራዝቤሪ ፓያቸውን ተጠቅመው ሆም አውቶሜሽን ሲስተም፣ ሴኩሪቲ ሲስተም መስራት እንዲችሉ ፕሮጀክቶች አስበናል። ሌላ አሁን ያሉት ልጆችን we are thinking of having them be teaching assistant ለሚቀጥለው generation of students teaching assistant እንዲሆኑ recruit እናደርጋለን። They may get paid, they may not get paid, it may be a free volunteer or not, we don't know, but we're thinking of having them to be volunteers for the next batch of students. የሚቀጥለው batch ላይ አስተማሪ እንዲሆኑ እናስባለን ማለት ነው። እንግዲህ የፕሮግራሙ መሪን ፍቃድ ጥሼ ዲሞንስትሬሽን ወደ ሽልማት ከመሄዳችን በፊት የፕሮጀክት ዲሞንስትሬሽን ፕሮግራም አስበን ነበር፣ ግን ጊዜ የለንም እና ምናልባት መጨረሻ ላይ ማድረግ ከቻልን ወደዚህ እንመለሳለን። ወደ ፕሮጀክቱ ሲሰራ ማሳየት የሚችል ልጆች ካሉ ኤኒባዲ ፕሮጀክት ዲሞንስትሬት ሊያደርግ የሚችል ሰው አለ ሴትአፕ ያደረገ የሰሩት ነገር ምንድነው የሚለውን ማየት እንድትችሉ ማለት ነው። ወደ ወንደሰን ከፈቀደልኝ
ጥሩ። በምን ሳሮን ሰብስቤጅ ያወጣች ነው ረሳል እንችላለን።
ኦኬ ሶ ሼሪንግ ላቁምና ሳሮን ሰብስቤ ኮምፒውተርሽን አዘጋጅና you can demonstrate.
Do I demonstrate the just the Raspberry Pi or with the recording from the website?
You can share your Raspberry Pi. You can tell us what you're doing too, so everybody understands what you're doing.
Like what? Share my screen.
Yeah, share your Raspberry Pi screen, and so we can see. Are you sharing, Sarah?
My Raspberry Pi isn't set up with a desktop or VNC yet.
Oh, but you can press the button and show us on the camera. Okay, so what are you gonna do? What word are you gonna say now? First, tell us how it works.
Well, first I press the button, then a light turns on, then I say a word, then I press it again, and then you have to wait like maybe a few seconds, and then it translates. I'm going to say donkey, I guess.
Okay.
Donkey.
Wow. What? Any word someone else recorded? Any word she could try so that it's not fake? Some parents may be skeptical. They may think it is fake. All right, Efrata, what do you want her to try?
Book.
Book. Okay. That has a bug. All right, let's try book. Can you try book? The technical difficulties, I think.
It got unplugged.
It got unplugged. Okay, is it coming up? Anybody who can share the Raspberry Pi working? Oh, it works for Efrata. She can share.
I can share too.
Okay, let's try Efrata if you have it working.
It works now. Okay. Book. It said it once.
Yeah. So
It's a different voice, so it's in the database twice.
It's twice, yeah. Yesterday, Efrata found this bug where it says book twice. We don't know why. So we need the error handling team to help with this.
Wait,
and can we try multiple words? I don't believe it.
I don't believe it? Okay,
Yep.
He doesn't believe it's working. So maybe 2 words.
Sweet candy.
We didn't hear it. So,
الطافج caramella.
ah, okay. So Reddit's code is working. That's plays the for loop. Ebenezer, you want to show us something?
I think I'm just gonna do bears.
2 words. What else can we do? Bears and
And I'm gonna do bears and donkey.
okay, bears and donkey. Can you get your put it in front of the microphone? You're muted, so we can't hear you.
Okay. This is actually a little harder than I thought here.
Okay.
All right. Bears and donkey.
Hey! What?
I have a question. Why we hear 2 different sounds?
What? Because 2 different people were recording.
All right. So we are really out of time. Should we cancel the presents or should we just...
No, absolutely not.
Okay. One day, to you. Back to you. Sorry.
እሺ ሁላችንም እናመሰግናለን። አሁን ደግሞ የምንሄደው ወደ ፓረንት ፊድባክ ይሆናል የተወሰኑ ደቂቃዎች ወስዶ ስለዚህ ፕሮግራም አንዳንድ ነገሮችን ማለት የሚፈልግ ቤተሰብ አንድ ሁለት ሰው እድል እንሰጣለን
so you can be part.
Can I quickly say something? I just want to reiterate again that Teshoma Aklilu's computers that were donated wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for those. So Teshoma, but I'm not an exact but I'm thank you.
በጣም እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን ተሾመ አለ ሚቲንግ ላይ ተሾመ
አለሁኝ በእምነት መላኩ እጅግ በጣም አስደናቂና በጣም ለመናገር ራሱ የሚደንቅ ስራ ነው የተሰራው በዚሁ ጊዜ ከሰጣችሁኝ I would like to say congratulations to the students and also congratulations for the organizers. It's a big achievement and the community ሲሰባሰብ መስራት የሚችለውን አሳይታችሁናል ትልቅ ፖቴንሻል እንዳለን አሳይታችሁናል እንደ ቤተሰብም እንድንኮራ አድርጎናል ይሄን አይነት ስራ ደግሞ በቤተ እምነት በቤተ ክርስቲያናችን በመሰራቱ ጥፍ ድርብ ያደርጓል ውጤቱን እንደዚህ አይነት ስራዎች ለልጆቻችን የሚያስተምሩት አንድ ነገር ሳይሆን በርካታ ነገሮችን ነው ቲም ወርክን ጨምሮ ለወደፊታቸው መሰረት የሚጥሉበት ነው አሁንም በዚሁ ደግሞ ተጋባዥ እንግዶቻችን እንዳስተማሩን ለልጆቹ ትልቅ ለወደፊት መሰረት የሚያስጥላቸው ፕሮግራም ነው የቀረጻችሁት ይሄ ጄነሬሽን የሚያንጽ የኛንም የወላጆችን ተሳትፎ እንዲጨምር እንዲያጎለብት የሚያደርግ ብዙዎችን እንዲያሳትፍ የሚያበረታታ የሚያነሳሳ የተከበሩ አባቶቻችንን የቤተክርስቲያን አባቶቻችንንም ፈቃደኝነት ማግኘትና እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር ላይ እንዲሳተፍና እንደዚህ አይነት ስራ እንዲሰራ በማድረጋቸው ልናመሰግናቸው የሚገባ ሊቀጥል የሚገባ እርዳታችን እገዛችን ሊጨምር የሚገባ እንደዚሁ ደግሞ በቀጣይ ሊሰራ በታሰበው ላይ እንደተገለጸው እንደዚሁ ልጆች ተመልሰው አስተማሪ የሚሆኑበትን ሁኔታ ማመቻቸት መታሰቡ ራሱ እጅግ በጣም አስደሳች ነው ምክንያቱም ልጆቻችን በዚሁ ሁኔታ አይምሯቸው እንደተያዘ ወደ ስኬታማ ህይወት የሚሄዱበት አቅጣጫ የሚፈጥር ነው እጅግ በጣም ተደስቼበታለሁኝ ሌሎችም እዚሁ ፕሮግራም ላይ ያሉትም ከዚህ ፕሮግራም ውጭም ሆነው ይሄንን የሚሰሙ ሰዎች ባላቸው አቅም ሊያግዙት የሚገባ ሊስፋፋ የሚገባ እዚህ ጋር ደግሞ ለተሳተፉት ሰዎች እኔ እንጃ ቃላት ያንሰኛል ከፍተኛ ከጊዜያቸውም ከገንዘባቸውም ከብዙ ነገር ትሪት አድርገው ስለሆነ ልጆቹ እዚህ ያደረሱት ታላቅ ከበሬታ አለኝ እጅግ አመሰግናለሁኝ ከዚህ በተጨማሪም ማድረግ ባለብን ለማድረግ እኛም ወደፊት ቃል እንገባለን ለዚህ ለተሳካ ፕሮግራም ነበረ የተሳካ ፕሮግራም ነው አባታችንም አቡነ ማርቆስም በዚህ ስለተገኙ ደስ ብሎኛል ለሁላችሁም እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልኝ ለተመራቂ ተማሪዎች this is the beginning of your journey and this is a best opportunity to build your base that was a great success and congratulations to you guys congratulations that was a big achievement thank you
እሺ አንዴ ተሾመ ከአዲስ አበባ ጀምሮ ነው የምትተዋወቀው
yeah somehow my video pauses I'm not sure
ከአዲስ አበባ ጀምሮ ነው የምንተዋወቀው አየር መንገድ እንሰራ ነበር አሁንም ቦይንግ አንድ ላይ ነው የምንሰራው አጋጣሚ ሆነ አሁን በስራ ምድብ ምክንያት ካሊፎርኒያ ነው የሚገኘው ለማንኛውም ቴንክ ዩ እናመሰግናለን አስበህን ኮምፒውተሩን ስለሰጠህን እና ለዚህ ኮምፒውተሮቹ አዲስ አበባ ሊሄዱ የነበሩ ናቸው ለዶኔሽን ይሰጡ የነበሩ በአጋጣሚ ባንዳን ቴክኒካል ዲፊከልቲስ አልተስተካከለምና ብዙ ታግሎ ካቅም በላይ ሆኖበት መጨረሻ ሐሳቡን እኔ ጋር ሲያመጣ ከባለቤቴ ጋር ተነጋግሬ በእምነት ነው ይሄን ትልቁን ፕሮጀክቱን ስፒር ሄድ አድርጎ ለዚህ ደረጃ እንዲደርስ ያደረገው ሁላችሁንም እናመሰግናለን። እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን። ጨርሽ
እሺ በጣም እናመሰግናለን። ያው አሁንም ደግሞ ሌላ ፓረንት ሀሳብ መስጠት የሚፈልግ አንድ እድል እንስጥ። እሺ ሳሮን ሰብስቤ አባቷ ሀሳብ ለመናገር ይታየኛል። ይቅርታ ሁሉም ሰው አይታየኝምና ስክሪኑ የሚችለው ሰው ያህል ነው የሚታየኝና እሺ ወደ እሳቸው።
እኔ እንኳን በቃ በጣም አመሰግናለሁ ነው በእውነት ጊዜያቸውን ሰውተው የልጆቻችንን እዚህ ደረጃ ማድረስ በተለይ አሁን በልጄ እያየሁት ነው ኮዲንግ ምን እንደሆነ በማታውቀውና ምንድነው የምትጠይቀኝ የነበረችው አሁን በእውነቱ ከምጠብቃት በላይ ነው። እኔ ክላሱን ወስጃለሁኝ ግን የእሷን በዚህ እድሜዋ አድቫንስ ሆና እዚህ ደረጃ መድረሷ የእናንተ ኢፈርትና የእናንተ ጊዜያችሁን ሰውታችሁ እዚህ ልደርስ ስላበቃችሁ በጣም አመሰግናለሁኝ። በተጨማሪ ለሁሉም ልጆቻችን እንግዲህ ፊውቸራቸው ምን እንደሚመስል በምሳሌ ነው ፊዚካሊ በመናገር ሳይሆን በማድረግ በማሳየታችሁ ትልቅ ክብርና ምስጋና ይገባችኋልና አመሰግናለሁ።
እሺ እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን። በምን ሰዓት አለን አንድ ሰው ለመጨመር ወይስ በቃ?
እንግዲህ እኔ አንድ ሰዓት ብንጨምርም አይከፋኝም ግን
ወደሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም እንሂድ።
ወደ ሽልማቱ እንግዲህ አንድ ሁለት ሰው እድል እንስጥ ጊዜ ካላችሁ ማለት ነው።
ኤፌሶን እሺ ጆይ ይታየኛል። እሺ
I have a question. Is the present in the envelope?
Yeah, so everybody gets a certificate and some of the project winners also got a package. So it's time to bring your package now. Don't open it, bring it with you, but we're gonna have few parents comment on before.
እሺ ሀሳብ መስጠት የሚፈልግ ተናገሩ ምክንያቱም ሁሉም ስክሪን አይታየኝም። ሀሳብ የሚሰጥ ሰው ከሌለ ወደሚቀጥለው ወደ
አሌክስ ይታየኛል። አሌክስ እጁን እያወጣ ነው።
ያ ጀስት ማለት የምፈልገው ነገር በአጠቃላይ በጣም ምን ያህል ላይክ ለምትሰሩት ዋጋ ትልቅ ግምት እየሰጠን ነውና just want to make sure ደግሞ እኛንም ፓረንቶችን እንዴት አድርገን ኢንቮልቭ ማድረግ እንደምንችል ለምሳሌ አሁን ኮቪድ ሲያልቅ ምናምን ቲቺንግ ስፔስ ሊያስቸግር ይችላል። I'm sure this ይሄ ደግሞ እንትኑ as like more and more kids ጀምሩ ስፔስ ሊጠባችሁ ይችላል። አንዳንድ ነገር ላይ get us involved ምናምን ነገር ለማለት ነው። just don't take it by yourself. እና anything ማድረግ የምንችለውን we are available to help እና በምኔ አብይ ታቦር ሀብታሙ መላኩ ወንዴ በጣም እናመሰግናለን for your like weekly dedications. እኔ sometimes ለራሴ ልጆች እንኳን ጊዜ አላገኝም በእውነት ነው የምላችሁና it really means a lot. I mean this is big for me and Teshoma, thank you for the computers and that's all guys. Thank you so much. Keep the good work. Thank you.
እሺ thank you.
ጆን ያወጣች አይቻለሁ I think.
እሺ ፍራታ ወይ ቤተሰብ
ጌጥነሽ ነኝ ፍራታ እናት ቃላት የለኝም የምታደርጉት ነገር ምንም ቃላት ሊገልጸው አይችልም እና በዚሁ ቀጥሉበት የሚያስፈልግ ነገር ሲኖር እኛን እርዳታ አንዳንድ ትንሽ ነገር መሳተፍ እንችላለን ሌላ ምንም ማለት የምችለው ነገር የለም እና እግዚአብሔር
እናመሰግናለን እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን አሁን ይበቃናል ወደሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም እንሄዳለን።
ወንዴ
ሰዓታችን ለመቆጠብ
የቤነጀር እናት ለመናገር አስተያየት ለመስጠት ይባል ያው
እሺ
አንድ ደቂቃ
እሺ just thank you ለማለት ነው እና ሁላችሁም አስተማሪዎች በጠቅላላ እግዚአብሔር ይስጣችሁ ለነበራችሁ ኮሚትመንት ለነበራችሁ ዴዲኬሽን እና ትዕግስት እግዚአብሔር ይስጣችሁ እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ እና just congratulations to all the students እና በቃ ይሄን ለማለት ነው እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን እና እኛም ኢንቮልቭ የምናደርግበት we are available ለወደፊቱ ማለት ነውና thank you እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ
አመሰግናለሁ በጣም አሁን ወደ አብይና ታቦር እንሄዳለን
እሺ እንግዲህ ወላጆች በሙሉ እንዳያችሁት ልጆቹ የተቻላቸውን ሁሉ ጊዜያቸውን አጥፍተው እዚህ ተገኝተው ሰመሩ ሳያታልላቸው ምን ሳይሉ ያለውን ፕሮጀክት ሰርተው ለዚህ ደረጃ በቅተዋል ይሄ ደግሞ በጣም ሊያስደስት የሚችል ነው ምክንያቱም በእነሱ እድሜ ብዙ ነገሮች አሉ ዲስትራክት ሊያደርጓቸው የሚችሉ ነገሮች ነገር ግን ያንን ሁሉ ተቋቁመው ትምህርታቸውን ከጃንዋሪ ጀምሮ ነው እንግዲህ ጀምረው እዚህ ደረጃ ደርሰዋል እና በዚህ ማዕከል ደግሞ ያው ያሳዩትን ፕሮጀክት ትልቅ ፕሮጀክት ነው ለዛ ደግሞ አንድ ቀን ብቻ አይደለም እሁድ በሳምንት ውስጥ አንዳንድ ጊዜ አንዴ ሁለቴ ሶስቴ ሁሉ የሚገናኙበት ጊዜ አለ እርስ በርሳቸው የሚገናኙበት ጊዜ ነበር ያንን ሁሉ አሳልፈው ለዚህ ደርሰዋል ስለዚህ ለዚህ ሁሉ ደግሞ ስራቸው ላደረጉት ሁሉ ነገር ደግሞ አሁን እውቅና የምንሰጣቸው ጊዜ ነው ማለት ነው ስለዚህ ይሄኛው እርግጠኛ ነኝ the fun part I guess ያው የሌላውን ፈን ነው this part they have been waiting for it እና ስለዚህ አሁን የምናደርገው ምንድነው ሁላችሁም ያው የደረሳችሁን አርብለታ ፓኬጅ አዘጋጁና እንትን በሉ ተዘጋጁ እና ያው በተለያየ እነኚህ ልጆች ያለውን በሙሉ እንግዲህ እንዳያችሁት ከ20 ምናምን ልጅ ወደ 14ቱ አሁን ሁሉን ከመጀመሪያ እስከ መጨረሻ ጨርሰው ለዚህ ደርሰዋል ለዛ እንግዲህ የሚቀጥለውን እንሄዳለን ማለት ነው ዝግጅታችን ይመስላል
አው ለዚህ እንግዲህ የመጀመሪያው የሽልማት ፕሮግራማችን የሰርቲፊኬት ሽልማት ነው ቤተሰቦችን ጋብዛለሁ ባካችሁ ኢንቨሎፑን ከፍታችሁ ለልጆቻችሁ ሰርቲፊኬቱን እንድትሰጡልን እና ሌላም ተጨማሪ ፒኖች አሉ እሱን እንድትሰጡልን ጋብዛለሁ
And now make sure you show us your certificate on the screen. I'm going to take a picture. Okay. Let's wait until everyone gets it. Make sure you put it on the screen. I'm going to take a picture twice because there's 2 screens, 2 pages of people. Okay. All your certificates. 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hold it there. Next page. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, happy?
ወደ ስላይዱ ሌላ ቤተሰብ እንዳይ ወይ ሌላ ተጋባዥ እንግዳ እንዳይ ሰርቲፊኬቱ እንደሚመስል እዛ ፕሬዘንቴሽኑ ላይ ኔክስት ፔጅ ይሄ ነው የመጀመሪያ ሰርቲፊኬት ፕሮግራም ነው ቀጥሎ በተለያዩ ካታጎሪዎች ሽልማቶች አሉ የቀጣዩን ፕሮግራም ሽልማት የሚያስተዋውቅልን ታቦር ነው
ይሄኛው ደግሞ የግሩፕ ሊደር አዋርድ ነው እነኚህ ልጆች በአራት ግሩፕ ነበረን በዛ ግሩፕ ውስጥ ሊደር ሆነው ከሌሎችም ግሩፖች ጋራ ከነሱም ቲም ጋራ ሆነው ያንን ኃላፊነት ወስደው ከፕሮጀክቱ ከበት እስከሚያልቅበት ጊዜ ድረስ አብረው ሲሰሩ ከቲማቸው ጋር ቆይተዋል። ያንን ደግሞ በማሳየት ለነሱ የሚሰጥ ሽልማት ነው። የሚቀጥለው
ያ የዚህ ግሩፕ ተሸላሚዎች እንግዲህ የመጀመሪያው ሳሮን ሰብስቤ ከራዝቤሪ ፓይ ቲም፣
voice to text translation Ebenezer Masai,
ሳሬም ገብረ ጻዲቅ ደግሞ ከሪከርድ አማሪክ ወርድስ ቲም፣
ከሪከርድ አማሪክ ወርድስ ግሩፕ እንደገና ናሆም ዮናታን
እና የመጨረሻው ደግሞ ረዴት ጣሰው ከቴክስት ቱ አምሃሪክ። እዚህም ጋር ቤተሰቦች በካርቶን ታሽጎ የመጣ ሽልማት አለ። እሱን ከፍታችሁ ለተማሪዎቹ ታበረክቱልን ዘንድ እንለምናለን።
And make sure you are on the screen when you receive your prize. I'm going to take a picture.
በዚህ ሽልማት የተሸለሙ ልጆች ከግሩፓቸውን ብቻ ሊድ ማድረግ ሳይሆን እንደገና እርስ በርስ ከተለያየ ግሩፕ ጋር ሆነው አብረው ብዙ ለፍተዋል። ቲማቸውም ሰክሰስፉል እንዲሆን ስላደረጉ የዋንጫ ሽልማት ይታየኛል። እስቲ ቀረብ አድርጉና አሳዩን።
Okay, 5. I see 3 trophies on one page. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Right. Okay. Okay. Chersha. Abi?
Slide ታወጣልኝ በምን?
Okay.
ይሄኛው ቀጣዩ ሽልማት ደግሞ ፕሮጀክቱን በምንሰራበት ሰዓት ስፔሻሊ ወደ መጨረሻ አካባቢ የሆነ በግ አግኝተን ወይም ፕሮግራሙ በስነ ስርዓት እንዳይሰራ የሚያደርገው ነገር ነበርና ከተለያዩ ቲሞች ማን ቀድሞ ይሄን ነገር ፊክስ ያደርጋል የሚል ውድድር ነበርና በዚህ ውድድር ሁሉም ተሳትፈዋል። ሁሉም በጣም it was very close። ግን የመጨረሻው አሸናፊዎች የቴክስት ቱ አውዲዮ ቲም አባላቶች ይሆናሉ። በምን ስክሪን የነዚህም ረዴት ጣሰው፣ ልደቱ ክብሩና አርሴማ አበበ ናቸው ያሸነፉት። በፓኬጅ ውስጥ አይ ቲንክ ለልጆቹ የግሩፕ ፕራይዝ ነበረ። አይ ቲንክ የዩኤስቢ ስቲክ መሰለኝ ካልተሳሳትኩ። ታቦር ልክ ነኝ? እና ባካችሁ ቤተሰቦች ለልጆቻችሁ ሽልማቱ እንድትሰጡልን እንጠይቃለሁ። አሁንም
በዚህ አጋጣሚ አርሴማ ይቅርታ እንትን ፎቶሽን ፈልገን እንትን ብለን ነበርና በአጋጣሚ ልናገኘው አልቻልም። ያዘጋጀነው ስላይዱን ትላንትና ነበርና ማግኘት አልቻልንም። ግን ያው ስምሽና የግሩፑ እንትን ስም ተገልጿል ማለት ነው እና ይቅርታ ለዛ።
አሁን የመጨረሻ ሁለት ሽልማቶች ይቀሩናል። ታቦር አስተዋውቅልን።
ሞስት ኢምፕሩቭድ ኢንጂኒየር አዋርድ የሚሰጠው ያየነው እንግዲህ ምንድነው ከመጀመሪያ ጀምሮ ያሳየው ፕሮግረስ እና መጨረሻ ላይ ያንን ሁሉ ካየን በኋላ እንደገና ያው ኤጅም በእድሜም ደረጃ ባለው ሁኔታ አይተናል። በዛ ሁኔታ ላይ ምን ያህል ዴዲኬት ሆኖ ምን ያህል ፕሮግረስ አሳይቶ እዚህ ደረጃ እንደደረሰ ያው እናንተም በፕሬዘንቴሽኑ ወይ በተለያየ ሁኔታ አይታችኋል እና ስለዚህ ያንን ነው እንግዲህ አሁን ሽልማቱን የምናቀርበው
የዚህ ሽልማት ተሸላሚ ናታን ነው አሁንም ቤተሰብ ሽልማቱን ተሰጡልን ዘንድ እንጠይቃለን ናታን ሽልማቱን ታሳየን ኪቦርድ እና ማውስ ዋየርለስ ኪቦርድ እና ማውስ ነው ሽልማቱ ያገኘው የዋናውና የመጨረሻው ሽልማት ደግሞ ይሄኛው የስቱደንት ቾይስ አዋርድ ነው አስተማሪዎች እዚህ ሽልማት ላይ ኢንቮልቭ አላረጉም በሙሉ ተማሪዎች ራሳቸው ቮት እንዲያረጉ ጠይቀን ይሄኛው ሞስት ቫሉዌብል ፕሌየር ኦ ኤምቪፒ ወይም በእኛ ኬዝ ሞስት ቫሉዌብል ኢንጂኒየር የሚለውን ተማሪዎች በሙሉ ድምጽ ሰጥተዋል እና የዚህ ዋናው ሽልማት አሸናፊ ድራም ሮል እየጠበቁ ነው ረዴት ጣሰው ነች እና ሁሉም ተማሪዎች አኖኒመስሊ ሁሉም እሷን መርጠዋልና ባካችሁ ሽልማቱን ተሰጡልኝ ዘንድ ጠይቃለሁ ቤተሰብን
የታለች አስታይ Yeah, thank you.
እዚሁ የአዋርድ ሽልማቱን እናጠናቀቃለን ወደ ወንዴ መልሳቸዋለሁ
ያው የግራጁዌሽን ፕሮግራማችን በአጠቃላይ ይሄን ይመስላል በዚህ የተሳተፉትን ተማሪዎች ቤተሰብ አስተማሪዎች እንዲሁም ደግሞ ብዙ ነገር ነው እዚህ ውስጥ ከኮምፒውተር ዶኔት ተደርጎልን ቤተክርስቲያን ክፍል ለተማሪዎች እንዲሰራ ተደርጎ እና በዚህ ሁሉ ቤቱን የኮምፒውተር ሩም ለተማሪዎች በማዘጋጀት የተሳተፉ በጣም ብዙ ሰው ነው እዚህ ላይ ተባበረው እነ ዮሐንስ እነ ተሻለ ብዙ ኮምፒውተር ሩሙን ለማዘጋጀት እዚህ ውስጥም የተሳተፉ ብዙ ሰዎች አሉ ከቤተሰብ እና ሁላችሁንም በአጠቃላይ ግን ሁላችሁንም እናመሰግናለን እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን ፕሮግራማችን ይሄን ይመስላል ካሁን በኋላ እንግዲህ በየመዝጊያ ጸሎት አባታችን ያደርጉልናል ወደዛ ወደ መዝጊያ ጸሎት እንሄዳለን ኮንግራቹሌሽን ቱ ኦል ስቱደንትስ ይሄን ይመስላል ፕሮግራማችን ሁላችንም እንኳን ደስ አለን ብዬ በጸሎት እንዘጋለን ወደ መላከ ሰላም ሄዳለው ሁላችንም ያው ለጸሎት እንዘጋጅና መድረኩ ለርሱ
በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ አሜን የተወደዳችሁ የእግዚአብሔር ቤተሰቦች በቅድሚያ እንደምን ዋላችሁ እንደምን አረፈዳችሁ በእውነት እስካሁን ድረስ ለ11 ወራት ያክል ያከናወናችሁትን ስራ የሥራ ፍሬያችሁን ነው ስናይ የቆየ ነው በእውነት በጣም ኮርተናል በጣም ተደስተናል አስተማሪዎችንም ተማሪዎችንም እንኳን ደስ ያላችሁ እንኳን ለዚህ ዕለት አደረሳችሁ ነው የምለው እንግዲህ ይሄ በዛሬው ዕለት መጀመሪያ የምርቃታቸውን ቀን የላዩ ልጆቻችን ይሄ ታላቅ ስንቅ ነው እነዚህ ልጆች ገና ብዙ ርቀት የሚጓዙ ብዙ ነገር የሚጠብቃቸው መንገደኞች ናቸው ይህ መንገድ ደግሞ ስንቅ ያስፈልገዋል ለዚህ ጉዟቸው የሚሆነውን ስንቅና ትጥቅ ነው ያስታጠቃቸው ምናልባት ዛሬ ይሄንን ላይረዱት ይችላሉ ወደፊት ግን ይሄ ውለታችሁ በእነርሱም ዘንድ እስከ መጨረሻው ህይወታቸው ድረስ ታላቅ ታሪክ ነው ያስመዘገባችሁና እግዚአብሔር ይድካማችሁን ዋጋ ሲፈላችሁ እግዚአብሔር ይስጣችሁ ስራችሁን ይባርክላችሁ የድካማችሁን ፍሬ ደግሞ በልጆቻችሁ አግኙት በእውነት ቤተክርስቲያን በእናንተ ትኮራለች በቀጣይ ደግሞ እንደዚህ ተመሳሳይ ተግባራትን ለማከናወን በምታደርጉት እንቅስቃሴ ሁሉ ቤተክርስቲያንም ሁላችንም ወላጆችን ቀደም ብሎ በወላጆች እንደተገለጸው ከጎናችሁንን በሚያስፈልገው ነገር ሁሉ እናንተ ጋር አብረን እንሰራለን እግዚአብሔር ስራችሁን ይባርክላችሁ አምላካችን እግዚአብሔር በሰላም አስጀምሮ በሰላም ስላስፈጸመን ለዚህ ለስላደረሰን ክብር ምስጋና ለአምላካችን ለእግዚአብሔር ይሁን በሰላም ያዋለና አምላክ ተማልኩን ባርቶ ቀድሶ በሰላም እንዲያስመሸን በረድኤት እንዳይለየን አገልግሎታችን ድካማችን ሁሉ እንዲቀበልልን የልጆቻችን መልካም ፍጻሜ እንዲያሳምርልን ለፍሬ እንዲያበቃልን በሰላም እንደዋለን በሰላም እንዲያሳድረን በረድኤትም እንዳይለየን እያልን ስሙን እንጠራለን አባታችን ሆይ በሰማያት የምትኖር ስምህ ይቀደስ መንግስትህ ትምጣ ፈቃድህ በሰማይ እንደሆነች እንዲሁ በምድር ትሁን የዕለት እንጀራችንን ስጠን ዛሬ በደላችንን ይቅር በለን እኛም የበደሉንን ይቅር እንደምንል አቤቱ ወደ ፈተና አታግባን ከክፉ ሁሉ አድነን እንጂ መንግስት ያንተ ናትና ኃይል ክብር ምስጋና ለዘላለሙ አሜን እመቤታችን ቅድስት ድንግል ማርያም ሆይ በመልአኩ በቅዱስ ገብርኤል ሰላምታ ሰላም እንልሻለን በሐሳብሽ ድንግል ነሽ በሥጋሽም ድንግል ነሽ አሸናፊ እግዚአብሔር እናት ሆይ ሰላምታ ላንቺ ይገባሻል ከሴቶች ሁሉ ተለይተሽ አንቺ የተባረክሽ ነሽ የማኅፀንሽ ፍሬ የተባረከ ነው ጸጋን የተመላሽ ቅድስት ሆይ ደስ ይበልሽ እግዚአብሔር ከአንቺ ጋር ነውና ከተወደደው ልጅሽ ከጌታችን ከመድኃኒታችን ከኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ዘንድ ምሕረትን ለምኝልን ኃጢአታችንን ያስተሰርይልን ዘንድ ለዘላለሙ አሜን የእግዚአብሔር አብ ጸጋ የእግዚአብሔር ወልድ ፍቅር የመንፈስ ቅዱስ አንድነት ከሁላችን ጋር ይሁን እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ እግዚአብሔር ይቀድሳችሁ
Amen. Amen. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations again.
Bye.
Thank
you very much. I appreciate it.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Fumia.
Bye.
Good job, everybody.
Great job, Dani and
Good job, you guys.
Bye, everybody. Good job, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye, Frataye. Bye, Fesoniye. Bye, Mom. Bye, Hiwi.
Bye, Hiwi.
አስተማሪዎች በሙሉ በጣም I'm just so proud of you guys እኔ እንኳን የኔ ልጆች አለዛ አልደረሱም ግን I'm just impressed እግዚአብሔር አብዝቶ ይባርካችሁ ቤተሰቦቻችሁ በሙሉ ለምን ጊዜ ኢነርጂ ገንዘብ ሁሉ ነገር ይጠይቃልና ኮሚትመንታችሁ መጀመር ይቻላል ብዙ ነገር ይጀመራል ግን አያልቅም ብዙ ጊዜ ስለዚህ ያንን ጠንክራችሁ ሰርታችሁ ልጆቻችንን አበረታታችሁ አብራችሁ አንድ ሆናችሁ በአንድ አላማ መስራታችሁ just so beautiful ለሌሎች ወላጆች ምሳሌ የምትሆኑ ናችሁ ያልወለዳችሁ አላችሁ ቹቹ ቾምቤ ነው ቾምቤ ትልቅ ስራ ነው የሰራችሁት እግዚአብሔር ቤተሰቦቻችሁን ሁሉ ይባርክ እድሜና ጤና ይስጣችሁ በጣም የምታኮሩ ናችሁ በጣም ነው ደስ የምትሉት
Thank you, sir. በጣም ይሄንንማ መሀል ላይ ቅድም ነበር እንዲህ ማለት ያለብሽ
no እኔ ያው ጊዜ እጅሉን ለመስጠት ነው
የተወደደ ቀን የተወደደ ዓመት ወደ አባቴ መቅደስ የተመለስኩበት አንባር ቀለበትን የተሸለምኩበት የተወደደ ዓመት የተወደደ ቀን የተወደደ ዓመት ወደ አባቴ ፍቅር የተመለስኩበት አንባር ቀለበትን የተሸለምኩበት የተወደደ ዓመት አመሽቶ የመጣ አይገባም አትበሉ ባክኖ የመጣ አይገባም አትበሉ